You can take both, Shane.
Almost 1,000.
All right, everybody, we're getting ready to go here at our Wisconsin State Poker Championship Potawatomi Casino final table. As you can see there, the clock says 35 minutes remaining in round 26 because that's when we arrived at the final table of 10. That's where we were. So we'll pick up where we left off. And this is Brian Molesky. I'm here with, I think, 182-time circuit ring champion Josh Reichard and Disco Chad Holloway. Wrapping up a record event here, Chad.
Yeah, I think I speak for both Josh and I when I say we're very excited. Both of us are from Wisconsin, so this is the state's premier event, and I know Josh wishes he was there. I couldn't be there because I've been working all weekend long, but I definitely recognize a lot of these players.
And Josh, you did cash in this event.
Yeah, I cashed. Let's be honest, Chad, you wouldn't have been there whether you were working or not.
Yeah, so while we're waiting here, they're just we've got a lot of chips on the table because we had 701 runners, 20K starting stacks, so 14 million in play. And yeah, you just heard somebody reference Ahmed Taleb, who is already an MSPT champion, Chad, but he will of course won our Sioux Falls event. It's actually technically Larchwood, Iowa, Grand Falls Casino for I think 55,000, but in that specific location, we don't broadcast, so this is his first broadcasted live final table on the MSPT.
Right, and that's one of our smaller events throughout the season. I think there was 216 entries in that one. This one, on the other hand, a record-setting field here in Milwaukee, 701 entries. That actually surpassed the record for largest ever poker major, and by that we mean $1,000 buy-in or more, in Wisconsin. The previous record was set back in February by the WSOP circuit. That was 677 entries, so we went ahead and beat that.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, Chad and I just came from Colorado. The MSPT was in Colorado last week. These guys have been playing extremely fast today. We are currently at about a 35 big blind average, which, Josh, as you know, you've been to a lot of final tables. That's a pretty heavy average at a final table. Last week in Colorado, they played so shallow that by the time we got to the final table, they were between the final three tables were roughly 18 to 20 big blinds. These final three tables have been moving pretty quickly and have been between 30 and 35, even up to 40 big blind average, pretty much throughout the entire afternoon.
Yeah, they like to get the money and splash around here in Wisconsin, it seems.
So as we go here, we'll go around and actually after this hand, we'll do a little roll call.
And I say first hand four-way action, and everybody hits a little piece of that flop, minus Rosas.
I would expect to see Bay go into pot control here on the turn. Hoping to get to a cheap showdown, and I think Max will be happy to do the same.
Yeah, especially with another spade on board there. That's what happens, check, check. So first blood goes to Richard Bay, who is a familiar face at the MSPT Potawatomi, this being his fourth final table appearance, which is just really incredible.
Yeah, you got it, Chad. Richard Bay out of Schaumburg, Illinois, and as Chad just said, this is his fifth MSPT cash, his fourth final table. His previous finishes were 4th, 9th, and 6th. So he's looking to do a little bit better than that this evening. As you can see, he sits about 32 bigs, 4 out of 10 in chips at this point. Nobody in extreme danger. A couple shorter stacks with 11 and 10 big blinds there at the bottom. But yeah, Richard Bay, over 81,000 in those 3 finishes total on the MSPT. So he's been here before.
I'm sure he won't miss this stop very often.
You can't afford to.
Yeah. We got a ace, queen, ace, jack blind versus blind.
We also have Paul Big Daddy Alfeld. He's a local hero here. Lots of players in Milwaukee, recognize him, and he's the short stack with pocket eights.
Looks like 8-9 of diamonds chip leader's opening, so let's see what Paul does.
90. All in?
Yeah, so Paul is, Westell and Flynn will have some interesting decisions here because Elfelt has come over the top of Cole.
Flynn will probably fold pretty quickly, but yeah, it's interesting to see what Westell does.
And Adam Westell, he's been pretty zoned in all day long. Strong player out of Woodridge, Illinois.
He was the longtime chip leader from about the final 3 tables, almost all the way to the final table.
Oh, and by the way, Josh, that was Paul Flynn in the 2-seat with ace-jack. He does not like to fold. He is extremely active.
Flynn, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Flynn in the 2-seat. So when you said it's an easy fold with ace-jack, not for Paul. He likes to play a lot of hands. I think, Chad, you mentioned he was kind of more of a cash game player, correct? And he's kept things. He had a pile at one point today. I think he was upwards of $4 million. He got to this final table at $865,000, but he's not afraid to call off players jamming.
Yeah, and Adam Westell is going to call it here.
Yep.
So it is a race. Actually, given the cards that have been folded, Big Daddy is the favorite, 60% here. Let's see what brings it on the flop.
Slow on the flop cam early. I don't like to see that.
So Westell picks up a gut shot to a 10. He's got 4 outs, though. All the 10s, except for 1, have been killed.
Flynn would have won with his ace-jack had he made the call.
So Paul Elfelt out of Brookfield, Wisconsin is going to get the much-needed double here early on at this final table. The local business owner. Paul got in through his satellite, so he's made the most of it. I think everybody here is guaranteed a little over $10,000. There you see it in the right-hand column, 10th place, $10,177.
Much needed double up for Paul there. I know he's got a mitt full of kids back home that he could use the money to help take care of, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how many, but I know it's a lot.
Yeah, actually, he says he's the proud father of 11 wonderful kids.
Okay.
So, Paul, this is actually Elfelt's 5th MSPT cash, his 2nd final table. He also has a regional cash, so he's no stranger to running deep in these MSPT events.
Yeah, I've played with him locally quite a few times. He's always having a good time at the table, fun to play with. Always picking up jacks the next hand.
Yeah, and Dembowski with suited ace-queen in the big blind may have a decision to make here.
Dembowski began the day as the big stack. Chip leader among, I think there was 105 players that returned to action today.
My guess is Dembowski's going to come over the top here with a 975K stack. The blinds are at 20-40.
I think calling or re-raising would be reasonable here. He's getting a discount in the big blind. It'll be interesting to see what he decides. I think he had a shaky start to the day from the chip lead and dropped down a little ways, but was able to build it back up and get here.
And he is just going to call.
So that disguises the strength of his hand and lets him see a flop.
Four checks. Six bets. 175. Four folds.
And the continuation bet, gonna do it. Not a bad looking flop for pocket jacks there.
Hey, Mike. Thanks, man.
So just like that, Elfelt up to 29 bigs and 5th in chips.
Quiet, 'cause you didn't.
That just leaves MSPT champ Taleb as the only player entering the danger zone there with 10 bigs.
Wow, jacks again.
Back to back for Big
Wow.
Daddy.
Eights, jacks, jacks.
He's establishing
Oh,
quite the image, and Hart here
has
with
tens. I was playing with his son over in the cash game before we started the final table here, so
Six, solid.
he was pretty excited that his dad was running deep in the event. I've been in that position before.
What do you think of Big Daddy's shove here under the gun with pocket jacks? Just moves all in.
Seven folds.
And he's got
it's-
30 bigs.
It's probably going to cost some money. I don't know what made him decide to do that compared to how he played him the previous hand.
Yeah, I think a standard, he's got plenty of chips at this point. Obviously, he doesn't love playing jacks in that position. And he just popped it, what, 2 or 3 consecutive hands prior to this? So he's probably feeling a little self-conscious about his image and didn't want many callers here, but...
And Hart's going to call off here.
And Hart probably feels pretty good when he sees Elfelt jam under the gun like that, because that's he's going to sense that that's weak. But in actuality, Hart is going to be in big trouble.
Four folds.
Yeah, that actually got him maximum value by playing it that way. He happened to run into the one hand that he has dominated that might call him,
Yep.
and ended up calling him. There was a 10 folded too.
So David Hart out of Madison, Wisconsin, at risk.
Quads. That's not going to be quad 10s.
Yeah, quad jacks for Big Daddy and runner royal flush draw for Hearth. Nope, not going to happen.
Dream start to the final table.
Yeah, so the amounts that you see on the screen are unofficial, so as you can see, they are relatively close. So we're going to get a count here. And if this stands, in the 9th seat there, David Hart out of Madison, Wisconsin, he's retired.
Yeah, Josh, you nailed it. This is a dream start for Big Daddy. He started as the short stack with 438,000, and looks like he's going to be up to about 2.3 million after 4 hands into the final table.
Yeah, on dinner you're thinking about how you want things to start, and he probably couldn't even have dreamed of them starting this good.
Yeah, so we are going to lose David Hart in 10th place. He's going to walk away with $10,177 in an unfortunate spot there. He does, Mr. Hart does have a $45K cash at the Chicago Classic. And this is his first MSPT cash, but Hart had also won the Vegas Insider NFL Handicapping Tournament with 18,000 entries. So we didn't get to talk about that, but that's pretty cool in itself.
Wow, yeah, it is.
That's unbelievable.
I can't even stack.
So congratulations to David Hart. Tough break there, but he's going to walk home with a nice little weekend payday.
I'll bust it up. Or, sure.
So we are down to 9. Let's go through these players real quickly. In the 1 seat, out of Chicago, Illinois, Ricky Rosas. This is his second MSPT main event cash. He also has a regional cash on his resume. In the 2 seat, Paul Flynn out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, his first MSPT cash. In the 3 seat, Adam Westell out of Woodridge, Illinois, also his first MSPT cash. In the 4 seat, David Dembrowski out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, his second MSPT cash. He also has a regional cash to his name. In the 5 seat, the chip leader to start this final table, David Coel out of Lake in the Hills, Illinois, his first MSPT cash. In the 6th seat, and on a roll, Paul Elfelt out of Brookfield, Wisconsin, his 5th cash, second final table, also has a regional cash.
90K.
In the 17th seat, the only player at this final table looking for his second MSPT title, out of Moorhead, Minnesota, Ahmed Taleb. For Ahmed, this is his 3rd MSPT cash, second final table. His previous deep runs were a 1st and a 14th. In the 8th seat, we talked about him a little bit, Richard Bay out of Schaumburg, Illinois. 5th cash, 4th final table, over 81K in MSPT earnings. And in the 10th seat, Maxwell Young out of Portland, Oregon, who, Chad, you could talk a little bit about Maxwell Young. He has a recent big score to his name as well.
Yeah, so Max came to my attention just 2 weeks ago when he won the World Series of Poker Circuit Harvey's Lake Tahoe main event. Topped a field of 458 runners in that for think it was just shy of $148,000, and it was also his second ring. And so he went from Harvey's Lake Tahoe, and he came down to play the Denver Poker Open last week in Colorado.
The
And,
MSPT Denver Poker Open, yeah.
Right, it was his first ever MSPT. He min-cashed it, and he said he just loved it. And so when he heard about this one, he came right over, and here he is at the final table. So he's on a bit of a heater, and actually earlier this year, he won a 120K in a big tournament over in the Parks Casino in Pennsylvania.
Holy goodness.
Yeah, he's been running great. Actually, in April, him and I got heads up in a tournament in Council Bluffs as well, the re-entry in Council Bluffs circuit.
5 raises.
You took him down?
Yeah, it was quite the battle, but I eventually got him.
So you got to battle Max Young, who's on fire, heads up just a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
In Council Bluffs, Iowa, and that was what, your 8th ring? Was that your 8th?
No, I think that was my 7th.
Oh, sorry.
He just
you've
wins
got
one every couple of
yeah,
weeks.
So you've won one since then.
Yeah.
For 8.
Yeah, Max is a really, really strong player, so not surprised to see him here. He was coming up and telling me how much he loved the MSBTs. I was telling him about them, telling him they were great, and yeah, he tried his first one out in Colorado, and he said he's going to be going to a lot more.
Yeah, we're excited to have him. Hopefully we'll see him at, we might see him at Canterbury here in a month, and then maybe in Cleveland, Chad.
This is an interesting hand. They must just be putting him on exactly a flush draw. He c-bet the flop with 4s, and then Kowal in the small blind check raise, so, and Bay called. And that turn doesn't change a lot for him. It actually makes it less likely that Kowal had a value hand.
5 checks.
Kowal probably thinking he has got that wheel draw to fall back on. Little does he know that Bay has 2 of his 4s, and the other 2 have been folded already, so.
Yeah, he had a wheel draw on the flop, but now it's going to hurt. Oh, the other 2 were folded, you said?
Yeah, the other 2 have been
Okay.
folded. So that's actually another good card for Bay, right? If he thought he was good on the flop, that run out suggests that he would still think he's good.
Yeah, absolutely. The hands that were raising him that were value hands were sets and 2 pair, and like board pairing twice makes it extremely unlikely that he's up against either of those.
And he's going to win it. Goes check, check. So Brian, you mentioned it. We couldn't talk about it last week, but we can this week. MSPT Cleveland, Jack's
Yeah.
Casino.
Yeah, the first main event of season 9 will be at Jack Cleveland Casino, I guess is the right way to say it. Cleveland, Ohio, our first event in Ohio, and really looking forward to that. As you know, Chad and Josh, we have a huge Michigan base of players. Both of our last events in Michigan had over 1,000 players. Prize pool's over $1 million. So I expect this is just 2 hours outside of Battle Creek, Michigan, where we draw a huge field. So I anticipate this one. And this casino, if you haven't been there before or haven't seen it, it's downtown Cleveland, right next to the Cleveland Indians ballpark, and right next to where LeBron James plays at the basketball arena there. So
And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's like you're literally 2 minutes away.
Yep. So it's a great spot to go. I know the Cavaliers have a game Friday night while we were there. It's January 25th through the 28th, 2018. Make sure you mark that one on your calendars. We're looking to kick it off with style in Cleveland, Ohio.
And we actually worked some great hotel rates as low as $99 a night. Information on that can be found at msptpoker.com. If you're going to go, you want to go book early because I can guarantee those rooms will go quick.
Yeah, I was excited to see that. I look forward to checking it out. That should be, hopefully it coincides with some good sporting events, and
Yep.
should be a nice stop.
Paul Flynn scooping a pot there, the local gentleman out of Milwaukee.
Yeah, he shoved in just under 20 big blinds with 5s over Max's Open.
So you can see there, everybody playing relatively deep. Only Taleb is below 21 bigs. Ryan Molesky, Josh Reichert, Chad Holloway here at Potawatomi Casino for the Wisconsin State Poker Championship. Record field, 701 runners. We are down to our final 9. All very capable of winning this event.
10 folds.
I was surprised to see Bay call that check raise with fours on that board. It was pretty impressive of him to work through that and make a strong read. Could have easily just folded the flop.
Three folds.
Be an interesting hand here. Action on Dembowski with the ace-9 suited. But it's Ahmed Talib in the small blind with the ace-10. He's the short stack.
Think he's going to shove, Chad?
I think it's at the, yeah, he does. I think that's right at the bottom of his range, based upon his play I've seen in the past.
8 folds.
This is bad for Adam. That was the only player he didn't want to shove on him, and now he's in a situation where he might have to call based off the math. But the damage that it does to his stack has to come into play too, so... Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to make the call, and
I don't blame him.
probably the correct call, and
Yeah.
he's not going to be too excited when he sees Taleb flip his hand over, but let's see how the board runs out.
A lot of turn cards that can help Dembowski, but
Maybe a 7 of spades. 8 of diamonds, some chop outs. No,
some chop
no
outs
more
and-
winners, but deuce 7 or a 9 he's looking for.
Well, and he doesn't get it, so Ahmed, the previous MSPT champ, is going to get a much-needed double up here, and that should likely decrease Dembowski down to our shortest stack.
you know, the final table previous with Ahmed was not broadcast like you said, but I was there live reporting it alongside Eric Anderson, and if I recall right, he started off that final table on the shorter side of things too. Really took his time, and you know, once it got down to 5-6 players, really kicked it into high gear. So it'll be interesting to see how he does now that he's not riding that you know, really short stack.
So Flynn said, you said he had about 4 million at some point. He
Yeah,
was really
I believe
driving the
at one
action.
point in time, and Chad might be able to confirm this, but I believe he was upwards of 3.5, 4 million. And this was, by the way, when there was, I think, 3 tables left. That's how many chips he had.
Yeah.
So he had almost a third of the chips in play with 3 tables to go.
Well, I believe he was the beneficiary of a big hand with reigning MSPT Player of the Year, Rich Alsup.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Richie was cruising. He had like 700,000, and Flynn had about 600,000, and they got it in pre-flop. Alsup's aces against Flynn's pocket kings. Looked like it was a cooler, but then it ran out 4 flush board, and it happened that Flynn had the right king. Whatever the suit was, I'm not sure.
It was a club?
Club, and yeah, he crippled Richie Alsup, who busted a short time later, and now we have Flynn here at the final table.
Yeah, and I think that hand happened somewhere in the mid-30s with 4 tables to go, and of course, Flynn went on a roll, and like I said, I believe he got upwards of 3.5, 4 million with 3 tables to go.
Ten checks.
He's a local guy, so maybe he's got some of the guys over in the card room rooting for him.
7 bet.
Him and
5.
Big Daddy, I know, play in the cash room a decent amount here, I think.
10 call. Ten checks. Seven checks.
I think that was a good choice by Taleb to give up and conserve what he has in his stack here. It was going to be tough for him to get max off of his hand, I think.
200.
Yep, I agree, and Young with top pair, 6 doesn't play, and he's going to get Taleb to fold, obviously, with 8 high.
That was an interesting bet by Max on the river. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I guess it was a value bet, but club's got there. His kicker doesn't play. I don't think a jack's going to call him there. Maybe if the clubs miss, he can value bet because he has more missed draws, but I don't think he's going to get called by a worse hand there ever.
So as you saw on the clock, MSPT 113. That means this is our 113th MSPT main event. And we've been coming to Potawatomi for a few years now. I think maybe 2014, 2015. And they keep getting bigger and bigger. And so, we're excited that we've now cleared, and again, we've cleared 700 this weekend. That's just 2 flights, and that's a max of 1 re-entry per flight. And by the way, if you are new to the MSPT or the first time watching this final table, there are no chops. So we will play until we have a true winner.
5 folds.
I think Dombrowski's just going to get this shoved through here. Rosas has a pretty interesting decision in the big blind with the king-jack suited, but I think he'll end up finding a fold.
Yep.
1 fold.
Yeah, got him to think about it just a bit, but does lay it down. 701 runners, we're down to 9. 40-minute levels here at this final table. And Chad, for those that are tuning in late, they are probably shocked, displeased, upset that the Chicago legend, Howard Hankin, busted 12th right before this final table.
Yeah, 13th actually.
13th.
Yeah, but he would have at least got 12th if he just folded his queen 10 like he liked to tell everybody.
He made the right shove there. I was surprised that he made that shove, but it was a good shove. Got unlucky to run into aces, I think.
Yeah, ran into aces and he came up just short of making this final table.
Dombrowski's got 10s. He's probably going to shove again, and Bay's got queens.
Yep,
This could be trouble for Dombrowski.
Yeah, Adam Dombrowski out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's a table games dealer.
Yeah, he actually won a ring at the Horseshoe Hammond stop in the 08 event just in October.
Okay.
10 folds.
And he immediately had to go straight back to table games. He couldn't even stay for any more events. I think after he won the ring that night, he had to go deal at his job.
Well, he's going to need a 10 here if he's going to get through Richard Bay.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate spot for him to run into a bigger hand than 10's behind him with his 14 big blind shove.
Diamond's not going to help.
He's just got 1 10 in the deck left, too.
So we're going to lose Adam Dombrowski here in 9th place. Tough spot there. Of course, he's going to shove those 10s. He runs into the queens of Bay, and I apologize. I'm not sure if it's Bay or Bay. I believe I asked him before this final table, and I forgot already.
I think it's Bay. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think so too. I think we should err on the side of Bay just because it's Green Bay, Wisconsin. I mean, we're not in Green Bay, but
But he's going to scoop another one. Adam Dombrowski out of Milwaukee is going to take home $12,214. And, of course, everybody's going to be talkative and chipper because they just encountered a 4K pay jump. Everybody guaranteed over 16K at this point.
Speaking of some players, going back to Howard Hankin, some other players that came close to making this final table, but fell just shy, bubbling the final table, actually, was Ravi Raghavan, who is a well-known player out of Illinois. He is actually a World Poker Tour champion, won a big tournament on television a few years back. He almost made his second MSPT final table after having made it here 1 year ago. And Thomas Peebles took 14th place. He actually finished runner-up in the first ever Wisconsin State Poker Championship in 2015, finished runner-up to Ben Wyora, who was here this weekend, came back for day 2, but fell short of making the money.
I think we've seen Peebles a few times at final tables, have we not?
Yeah, he's definitely a tough player who's had his fair share of good results, and likely will have a title if he keeps plugging away at it, because he's good, he's tough. And also finishing in 22nd place was Nick Jivkov, who was down to 1 big blind with 40-something players left and managed to have a bit of a comeback, laddered up a bit. He has the distinction of being one of only 2 players to have both a World Series of Poker bracelet, and a MSPT title. So he won a Milwaukee event a few years back, He won a 1,500 pot limit Hold'em tournament at the World Series of Poker, and has that distinction. The only other player being Nadir Kakmazov, who won the MSPT Venetian this past summer and then won a bracelet a few weeks later.
And did you mention, I know you mentioned Rich Alsup earlier, who was controlling most of the action and playing well as usual till we had 4 tables left. But Rich is probably, and I don't know if we've talked about this much on the air, but will be announcing or putting together our MSPT Hall of Fame, which requires 20 cashes, 10 final tables, and at least 1 win. And we are going into season 9. Nobody has yet accomplished that, but there are 2 players that are relatively close. One of which, of course, is Rich Alsup, who has 18 cashes, 8 final tables, and 1 win. So if he can final table twice more, and Rich, by the way, I think has done all of that in the last 4 to 5 years. That's how on fire he's been. And I think the next closest, or about as equally as close, would be Ku Vang, who I believe has 21 cashes, a win. So he's met those 2 qualifications, but I believe he has 7 final tables. So he still needs to accomplish 3 more of those to achieve. So one of those 2 are on track to be our first member of the MSPT Hall of Fame, but still a little bit of work to do. Certainly not easy, right, Josh, to get there?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a list of accomplishments on the MSPT. It might take a while for somebody to get there. Even 2 more final tables for Alsup. I mean, it could happen soon, but it could take a while. You never know.
Yeah, it could take, yeah, you're right. Like I said, we're entering season 9, so now we do have a lot more events. You know, we're 20 plus events, or 20 plus main events, you know, close to 30 events. I think we have 30 events on our calendar already in 2018. 20 plus of those are 1K main events, maybe even as many as 25. So there are certainly more opportunities to do that, but
Yeah.
obviously it's difficult to make all those stops.
I mean-
There's a lot of other things going on as well.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many MSPTs I've played, and I don't know how many final tables I have. Maybe like 4. The fields aren't small, you know, so they used to be a lot. I mean, they're getting bigger and bigger. It's going to be harder and harder to make final tables.
Yeah, that's a great point. The first few years, you know, it was 150, maybe 200 players, and now it's 700, a couple into 1,000 range.
Which is impressive that Rich has done that recently, because they've mostly been in bigger fields as well.
Exactly, agreed. So Bay here is going to pick up aces.
2 folds. 3 folds. 5 folds. 6 calls.
Get some action from Paul in the big blind. I don't mind the defend here. He's got some chips to play with now after his hot start.
Six checks. Eight, that's 100.
225.
6 raised to 225.
Kind of like a little feeler bet here. Check raise bottom pair. Try to see if Bay has anything to continue with.
8 calls. Wait. There we go. That was good.
That's probably going to shut Paul right down. Or he could see it as a good card to continue bluffing, but it doesn't really fit what would be in his check raising range. I guess maybe some nut flush draws. Bay's he's not gonna get any more action out of this one.
6 folds.
And I think betting that, you think betting the turn there is good, given the texture of the board? I mean, there's a flush draw, some straight draw possibilities out there.
I don't think that Paul really has many of the draws, because he probably would barrel those on the turn. So I would have put him more on like a 10 and probably check back to try to get a 1 street of value on the river. But maybe he thinks that if Paul had a 10, he might have gotten a little sticky and tried to see one more card.
And there you saw Cowell, still the chip leader. Bay chipping up. Taleb, the current short stack, but still with 12 bigs and a little bit of room to work.
Paul picking up another big hand, 2 kings in the small blind. It's weird how timing in poker is like, it's a great thing for him. That wasn't the hand before that he had kings.
And yeah, and he's in the small blind, so we're going to see Cowell and Westell, who also have pocket pairs, act before him. So let's see how this plays out. Pretty deep stacks, though, so I wouldn't anticipate anybody getting too crazy.
Probably, yeah, open and a call and a 3-bet, a big 3-bet from the small blind. I think he's going to 3-bet big enough that these guys won't even set mine. If anybody does, it might be Cowell. I don't know. We'll see what size he makes it. I expect to see
3 raised to 90.
Paul make it on bigger sizing here.
Yeah, playing this hand out of position.
I mean,
Probably going to have, because it wouldn't shock me here to see Cowell call from the button.
yeah,
in
I'm sure.
position with
I mean,
those
he
sixes.
could 3-bet, but I would like to call. Yeah, he called. So
Yep.
I'm guessing
So
he's going to make it about 325. 325.
I agree.
310.
I think that would be, yep.
You
well,
guys were
pretty
both
close.
wrong. Both wrong.
310, we'll see if that 15K makes a difference. Will Westell or Cowell come along for the ride because it's only 310 and not 325?
Well, Westell, it's too much of his stack here to commit set mining. Unless he thinks he might have the best hand and he's going to continue on boards where he doesn't flop a set. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see him fold. Kowal's got enough where he could, but I don't know if he will.
Yeah, and Westell still had Cowell to act behind him, so he is going to set mine here.
It would have given Westell a little bit better of a price if he knew Kowal was going to call, but you can't really know if he's going to or not.
Oh, and he does get
He
it.
gets it. This could get ugly for Elfelt.
Yeah, this is bad news. He might just go all in based off what he did with those jacks. We'll see.
He's grabbing enough chips that it takes
600?
2 hands.
575? 6, yeah.
If you're Cowell here on that board, you probably just call. What are your thoughts there, Josh?
It depends if he puts Paul on a big hand or not. If he thinks Paul has a big hand, he can probably just get it over with now and go all in so he doesn't get turn cards that lose him some action, you know? Ace of Hearts peels off on the turn or something like that. He's not going to get away from this, I don't think, ever.
Yeah, it's tough. He knows something's amiss, but I mean,
I'll
his
give him
opponent could have, what, a flush draw, some sort of ace-high flush draw. He could have ace-queen.
Yeah, I think he's got to make the call here every time, but I'll give him credit that he's even thought about it this long. I would have been in with a fist pump already and been way behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have, I mean,
Kowal's
just-
also capable of making a power move here in position.
it's just too big of a hand to get away from, I think. If he does, I mean, that'd be amazing. Maybe Kowal must have thought that Paul had a big hand if he's shoving with a set, so.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul's probably aware that he thinks he probably has a big hand, so.
Guess I could have checked.
No, I don't.
No.
I think you should have bet.
I don't think Elfelt has done anything wrong in this hand. Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, that was a great fold. There's not very many players that would still be in the tournament right now.
Nope. And he's still got $1 million.
He said, I can't wait to find out what your hand was 15 minutes from now. He's going to be excited when he hears that.
That's a huge fold. Wow.
Nobody at the table even thinks for a second that he had that strong of a hand.
Nope. I'm not that good. So with that, he still's got 20 bigs and plenty of room to work. Well played, Mr. Elfelt. I'm not sure how you pulled that off, but dodging bullets.
It's like he already knew what he had. He doesn't need to find out in 15 minutes.
You don't get the nickname Big Daddy without showing some discipline.
10 folds. One folds.
Brian Molesky, Josh Reichard, Chad Holloway here at Potawatomi Casino, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, downtown Milwaukee.
Three folds.
It's one of my favorite places to come. I really, I enjoy that it's downtown. We often get to sneak out for a couple hours sometimes on a Wednesday or Thursday night after a satellite. And there's plenty of places to have a beer in this town. There's no doubt about that. And Chad, you and I have hit up a few of those places in the past. And
This trip, though, we headed about an hour west to Players Bar for the MSPT Burger, that promotion we had going with Mark Pokerho Kroon. Josh, you actually came up there on Tuesday when Eric and I were there.
Yeah, I brought Ashley up. We came and enjoyed some bar food. That was a nice place. It was the first time I'd been there.
yeah, the burgers were fantastic.
It's a pretty historic place in Wisconsin poker. It's where Helmuth used to play before he won the main event, and anybody who's really played in the Madison scene has played at Players at one point or another. I've even played there myself in the past, so it was just really cool to be there, have Mark do that promotion with us, and even the mayor of Madison came in, Paul Soglin, and had one of the burgers. There's a picture of that in the live blog for this event, so that was just a really cool moment to have that support.
Yeah, and I had heard so much about Players Bar, and I've had the opportunity to get there twice in the last 3 to 4 weeks and enjoy one of their phenomenal burgers each time. And Kroon is a great host, of course. Man, that place, we were in there on a Wednesday, Chad, and that place was packed. Pretty impressive what he's able to pull off and how many people he's able to get in there. And, of course, Mark didn't have a lot of luck in the event when he came to play on Saturday, but you can hear him throughout the room having a blast playing these events.
He was here Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we all know Mark well enough to know that he's either going to be the day 1B chip leader or have nothing at all.
Those are the two most likely things to happen.
Eight checks.
Some blind-on-blind action here.
I like the bet by Max here. I think Bay's going to be calling all of his ace highs against Max, so I'd like to see Max double barrel if he's going to bet this board. That's not a great card to double barrel, but okay, he's just going to give up. I don't think he's going to bet this card either. Okay, Bay's going to bet it.
8 bets, 120, 10 folds.
I wonder some different turn cards if Max would have double barreled there. Maybe only cards where he picks up a straight draw. Not sure what he would have done.
701 runners down to 8 here at the Wisconsin State Poker Championship 2017. And there you see it. Taleb with the only one who's got to make a move relatively soon.
See, Michael Schlegel just tuned into the live stream. He was actually playing today, busted in 57th place. He was one of the guys that I had been reporting on day 1A, 1B, and then here on day 2 as well.
Yeah, and he mentioned that he does like Paul Flynn's chances, and that's who we were discussing earlier. Paul is certainly capable of winning this event because when he has chips, he's extremely active and has many bounties to his name today. And Taleb, the short stack, 8 bigs, all in there in the 7th seat. It looks like he's going to get it through. And he is.
It'd be exciting to see Flynn get his hands on some chips again and get to see some of this wildness you were talking about.
Big shout out to the Potawatomi Casino staff this weekend. Another great job. And, Chad, every time we come here, the last regional here, and these are things that they've had to learn on the fly because another huge crowd this weekend for a main event, 701 runners. By the way, this is a fantastic ballroom / event center that they give us with plenty of space. But the last regional we had here, which we knew it would be great, but we didn't know it would be as great as it was. We had almost 1,700 runners. I think we had over 700 on Saturday, and very difficult to manage that type of a field size, but they've certainly done a great job, and we're excited every time we come back here, and these Wisconsin players are, man, they love their poker.
Yeah, Bay's been pretty active, so I'm not surprised to see Max 3-bet ace 7-0 here. It's a hand that blocks some of Bay's better hands he's going to be opening, but Bay has actually had good hands when he's been opening. Him and Paul have gotten their fair share of premium cards. Paul was unlucky to lose with his kings, but Bay could trap here, but I expect to see him 4-bet. Went 120 to 265. I'm going to say 485. He's going a little bigger.
8 raises to 575.
Yep. I agree with you. I think I like the Hart and Young's 3-bet here. This time, though, Bay actually has a monster.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit smaller sizing just to leave Max a little more fold equity in room with his 1.6 million.
Yeah, and he's going to fold, and Bay's going to pick up another nice pot. Continues to chip up. Hold on to his 2 spot on the leaderboard. As you can see, 139,000 plus up top. And Chad, certainly a much different table dynamic here, playing relatively deep compared to last week out in Denver.
It's weird. Denver always seems to be that way. It's one of those places where they
every single time they for whatever reason they just play shallow out there, and every time we get to those final tables, it feels like it's 18 to 20 big blind average, and they play that way the entire final table. Just nobody ever busts.
It surprises me because the play out there is like some of the most interesting you'll find. So I don't know.
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
for whatever reason, it is extremely difficult to bust players there.
10 folds. One raises to 100.
The play has been pretty good at this final table so far. I haven't seen anything like the King's fold was amazing.
Yep.
That's the most surprising thing that I've seen, that he was able to get away from that. But nobody's made any super tight folds or any crazy plays at all, really.
3 folds.
So round 27. These players just came off a 1-hour dinner break, and so we've still got these 40-minute levels. We've got an hour and 8 minutes until the next break. Each break going forward will be 10 minutes. This is an extreme, a lot of times, Chad, when we get to these final tables, you can see certain players just running hot, or it looks like it's their day, playing well, running good, all those types of things. At this final table, all 8 of these players are capable of making a run to win this thing.
Paul shoves again for 20 big blinds under the gun.
10 folds.
So this proves that the call with 10s was, he just got unlucky that he happened to have the hand that he had. He did the same thing with ace queen, so 10s is going to be ahead there sometimes. I wonder if he does the same thing with 9s or 8s, though. I don't know.
3 folds. And 5 folds.
It's always scary to kind of shove under the gun with a hand like ace queen suited, because if you get called,
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
I mean, if you shove 10 big blinds, you might get called by same hand, worse hand, hands you're flipping with. But when you shove 20 big blinds, you're not getting called by a worse hand there.
Now, Chad, as we've mentioned, this is the 2017 Wisconsin State Poker Championship. The 2016 Wisconsin State Poker Champion, if I recall correctly, was Andy Rubenberg, and he cashed here today, did he not?
That's right. So it's been a while since we've had this Wisconsin State Championship. The last time was in February 2016, and it was actually at a different venue. So this is the first time it's been moved to Potawatomi Hotel and Casino in Milwaukee. It's been the biggest, and so for the better part of, a year and a half, a little more than that actually, Andy Rubenberg has been the reigning champ.
Yeah.
So he came back, tried to do a title defense, and he ultimately busted in 51st place for a little over $2,500. So it was a good run to go back-to-back cashes at least in this event.
How does the labeling with the Wisconsin State Poker Championship work? Like, why wasn't this immediately the Wisconsin State Poker Championship following the Ho-Chunk cancellation?
Question for Ryan, I guess.
Yeah, well, for obvious reasons. So, I mean, we started at we initially entered Wisconsin at a different venue, and then while we were there, so we began the Wisconsin State Poker Championship, and then after that began, then we, of course, partnered with Potawatomi as well. And so, but because we had already started it at the other venue, contractually it stayed there until we eventually moved over here all together. Does that help? So it's timing, basically.
Okay. So this one will be Wisconsin State Poker Championship in the future now?
Yes, correct.
Not every time, because we come here twice a year for main events.
So just once a year it will be?
Yeah. We're here twice a year for main events, and one of those 2 times each year will be, so I assume it'll be each November going forward at Potawatomi.
We have a bit of a mix-up with the deal here. He exposed the second burn card while he was putting out the flop. I think Paul's going to check raise all in here. Let's see if Westall can make a nice fold like Paul did earlier.
And that's a pretty dry board for a check raise. And what do you think? Your opponent's not doing it with a gut shot, so...
Yeah, I mean, he's probably got a king. It's just you got to decide if he's got worse than king 8 or better than king 8.
Right. Which is tough, actually, because he was in the big blind. Got that little bit of a big blind special range.
990. Yep. These are, yes.
This is a hard hand for Westall to bet fold because it's one of the better hands he's going to be continuation betting with, so... kind of a tough spot for him. I think he's going to get away from it in the end. I wonder what the exposed burn card was. Could play into what's going to happen here. If it was a king or a 9, changes things.
It's hard to flop a pair, let alone top pair. So
Yeah, button versus big blind. But I think Paul's definitely got a king when he shoves here, though. At least, And he did it pretty quickly. He didn't even consider things. So
Yeah, and Westall is a strong player, and it looks like he knows and is leaning towards a fold, but it is tough to fold top pair in this spot. He looks frustrated.
He looks perplexed.
Now, it's not for his entire stack. He would still have some behind, but as you can see, that just goes to show the strength of this final table. We've got Elfelt, who folded kings on a queen high board, and now Westell is going to fold top pair and be correct.
Max asked him if he folded king jack. I wonder what he would have done had he had king jack. That's just a couple more, well, one more king that he beats, king 10, and then another king that he chops with.
Arrived at this final table. Richard Bay has been the biggest winner, up about $2 million from his original starting stack, and Elfelt doing well, up around just shy of 800,000. So far, Westell is taking the biggest hit, down roughly just shy of 1.2 million.
8 folds. 10 folds.
I guess Bay probably thinks his image isn't the greatest. He folded a suited ace under the gun there.
Which is probably accurate, because he, from a pre-flop raise percentage and aggression frequency, he is certainly one of the leaders at this final table, because he's had some cards to work with.
Yeah, he's also got to worry about Taleb in the big blind only with 10 bigs too, which he doesn't want to run into that. Paul put him all in with the 9 deuce here, just thinking Taleb can't call for his tournament life. That means Paul was going to shove on him with any 2 cards. I think Taleb's going to fold the jack 10 here.
Looks like TJ Sweet 88 back watching another final table. He's a regular follower on Sunday nights.
He likes to say I sound like his barber.
Every time.
And I like to say his barber sounds like a handsome guy.
Yeah.
Who is that? Do you guys know? Is that TJ Ryan or no? Probably not.
I don't know. I don't think.
Kind of surprised it took him that long to fold it. I mean, Jack 10 looks like a pretty hand, but to call it off, there's just so many hands that beat you, so many hands that have you dominated. I mean, obviously, if he knew Paul was doing that with a 9 deuce offsuit, he'd get it in there, but
I think if you plug it into some shove charts, some like the Snap Shove app, it probably would tell you to call off with Jack 10 there versus someone who's shoving correctly from the small blind. But I don't like to do it myself, and I would only do it against a player I thought was shoving way too wide. Good fold, Paul told him. Good fold.
It's okay to laugh.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, it's okay.
701 runners, down to 8. Everybody guaranteed $16,283. And as we've seen, it's going to be tough to get any one of these players out, because they're making some big boy folds
It's both way, yeah.
in the right spots.
Raise 150,000.
And here comes Flynn.
Coming in for a full 3X, and Paul's got the ace-jack on the button. I expect him to see a flop here. I think he's going to call. It's a weird stack size he's up against, about 850K. If he 3-bets, then he's going to have to call, which he wouldn't like whatever he was up against if he 3-bet and got 4-bet shoved on. I think he'll just call and see a flop.
6 folds.
Okay, he just folded, which is not unreasonable either. The power of aggression, Flynn getting a better hand to fold.
Round 27, you can see the blinds there, 25.50 with a 5K ante. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but we have announced the majority of our 2018 schedule. And I know you're on the internet if you're watching this, so make sure you get over to msptpoker.com. All the events are up on the homepage, most of them anyways. I'm sure there will be a couple we have not yet announced or that may be added later. But msptpoker.com, and Chad, when we get a moment, I know you might be able, we've got one player here I know that's making a run at potentially being high up on the Player of the Year leaderboard. Taleb there in the 7th seat has a win, so if he were to run pretty deep here, I'm guessing he's going to be in the mix.
Yeah, so this was the penultimate stop of Season 8. That means we have just one more coming. The MSPT Canterbury Park, December 8th through the 10th, up in Shakopee, just south of the Twin Cities. So that will be the last time players can get points. The race always comes down to that final stop.
Every year, it seems like it comes down to the final table at that season finale.
Right, and there were a lot of players, contenders here, trying to amass points, but nobody really made too many moves. Chris Myers, who won the Michigan State Poker Championship a few months back, he actually had the lead. He min-cashed, got himself 50 more points. So right now on the Kimosabi Mezcal MSPT Season 8 Player of the Year leaderboard, he is out in front with 3,350 points. As of right now, his next closest competition is Keith Heine, who has just shy of 3,000. And then we have a slew of players with between 2,100 points and 2,700 points. Now, in a lot of our events, about 1,500 points goes to the winner, depending upon the size of the field. For instance, this is a really large field, so the winner of this event is going to get 1,700 points. Now, if that happens to be Ahmed Talib, he would take 1,700 points for winning this. He already has 1,500 points for his previous wins and cashes, so he would automatically go into second place on the Player of the Year leaderboard if he wins this. But either way, he's going to get some points and move up on the leaderboard nicely.
And regardless, even if he can move up to, and I don't have it in front of me, but he's probably close to getting 1,000 points at this final table, which would put him within striking distance of still capturing that title at the next stop with another deep run.
Yeah, so he's guaranteed 900 points even if he busts right now, so that would put him at 2,400 points, and that would put him into 6th place on the leaderboard. So no matter where he busts right now, he'll be in at least 6th place.
And another potentially 6th, 7th place finish at the next stop might give him that title. So a lot on the line here.
7 is all in. 8 and 10 fold.
Once again, that is your Kimosabi Mezcal Player of the Year leaderboard, and that is also listed on MSPTpoker.com. If you check out our stats page, there's a lot of great info and stats out there on all these players, including like I said, the Kimosabi Mezcal Player of the Year leaderboard, career earnings, career cashes on the MSPT, final tables, pretty much everything you'd like to see.
Yeah, Kowal's come in with a raise twice with the suited connectors now, and both times he ran into pairs that had him dominated. It's kind of just bad luck for him. This time Taleb didn't have enough chips to get him a fold, so he's going to need to get lucky here.
So a little delay on the flop reader. There it is.
It's halfway to a bad beat. Taleb got it in a great spot here. Oh, now the clubs.
12 outs headed
Wow.
to the river.
Turned a lot of outs. Let's see what happens
all
on the
his 8s
river.
and 7s are live and only one dead club. We get the red ace on the river.
So it may be a case of too many outs there.
You know, and I love you, Paul Elfelt, but I will say that Taleb has a much better hat than you, sporting the MSPT hat versus the Green Bay Packer hat.
Oh, I was waiting for you to bring up some NFL at some point. Of course, the Vikings won today.
My
The Packers
Vikings are
lost. Let's talk about some football.
So let's talk about two bets. One that I didn't make, one that I did make. The one that I didn't make at the time was probably at least a month ago, right? And you offered to go, and I know we've mentioned this on this broadcast before, but it was a straight up bet. Vikings Packers must win Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But at the time, the Packers had Rodgers and it looked much better. The Vikings had just lost their rookie running back.
It was the week before you lost Delvin when we did the
Was
bet.
it? Okay, yeah.
So
And
when I offered it, at least.
not surprisingly, I didn't have a ton of confidence in my Vikings. Now, if I could look at it now, I'd be,
7 fold.
it'd
Yeah.
be an easy bet to make.
Yeah, don't think I'd offer you that bet at this point.
So
What was the one you did make?
So I had a little bit of a sweat today.
Oh, the Howard.
Yeah, did you hear about
I
that?
heard about it. Let's hear it again.
All right, after this hand, we'll talk about my Howard bet today. And it's no disrespect to Howard. I would have taken it against most anybody.
6 bets.
All right, so it was during a satellite Wednesday night. Might have been Thursday night, Wednesday night or Thursday night. So before the main event, Dan Bekovic's hanging out, and he's got a lot of confidence in Howard for some reason, and I love Howard, but Howard has played several MSPTs and has never final tabled. Like his best finished ever was like 18th. So Dan said, hey, I had this dream last night that Howard's going to make the final. He's going to make the final table with 2.5 big blinds, but he's going to make it. He goes, I'll give you 22-1 odds on this $100 bill. And I'm like,
Well, you had to give him 22-1 odds, right?
yeah, 22-1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I got to take the free 100. Right? Like, I can't not take that.
Yeah,
I'm like, the
that's-
odds are way worse
And
than
Howard is most likely not firing 4 bullets either, you know,
Correct.
so.
Well, he's playing in the satellite still to get into the main.
Yeah.
He's not even in the main yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So of course Howard wins the satellite seat, gets into the main, and today, so I've got, Dan had already given me the 100 a couple days ago. He posted it, and so if Howard makes the final table of 10, I owed Bekovic 2,200, and of course we've already talked about the rest of this story. Howard makes his run down to 13th.
You're starting to sweat, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
You would
but
have had to pay him.
At the same time, I'm rooting for Howard. Like, I love Howard. I want him to do well. So
Yeah.
I would have taken that against most anybody, but it's like, yeah. So I was sweating the 2,200 today. Howard busted 13th.
And you already had the 100 in your pocket. You would have had to peel off
23.
2,300 to
Yeah.
him, huh?
So
So Flynn's going to be in
everybody
trouble.
was rooting against me.
Flynn shoved deuces,
Yeah, he's going to be in big trouble here. Because he gets a call by Cole, who originally raised it with pocket jacks.
So he opened jacks, and then Taleb flatted King Jack O.
Yep,
I don't like that off Taleb stack size, but
agreed. Oh, there's
a
a deuce. So there's only one jack, because we just mentioned Ahmed folded one of them.
could turn some straight draws, maybe. No, one out.
Oh my God.
Rich tried to scare him. He said, "Oh my God," when the river comes out. Kowal might not see the humor in that if he was a believer in his false expression.
I thought he buried a 5 by the end.
So
I'm going back.
Paul Flynn gets there again, and he's been very vocal and honest throughout the day that he's been running well. And and it continues.
You know, that's right. That's stupid, right? Yeah. Should have.
Eight minutes left in this level before the blinds go up to 30-60 with a 10K ante. That'll drive a little bit of action. So Kowal with a hit there.
Yeah, he back-to-back hands double players up. First time he got it in bad shape. That time he got it in really good shape and didn't win either time. Still got a slight chip lead, it looks like. But Bay and the other players are all getting closer to him.
Talib likes this king jack. Just put in some chips with it last hand, and this one is at least suited.
Yeah, I like raising King Jack first in the pot much better than flatting the open with it off his sub-20 big blind stack.
What do you think about the two-handed bet from Taleb? Do you ever do that, Josh? Boom, peel off two.
I don't
each
think I
hand.
ever have. It's intimidating. I got the ace jack to fold.
Yeah.
Might have done it when I was betting like multiple multiple 20
Multiple-
stacks,
yeah.
you know? But not just for a regular open with 6
Small
chips.
little black spot, I think you got it out.
We got a little sighting of Eric's chicken wing belly in the background there. I've got
That's
one too.
about the best I've ever
Oh no,
heard.
that's not Eric.
Yeah, that's not Eric.
No, sorry, I meant that for Eric, not the floor guy that I don't know. The blue shirt. The
gonna
blue
say,
shirt threw me off.
I didn't know you had, I was like, I didn't see Eric on here, but that's probably the best way I've ever heard him described. Chicken belly Eric.
I got one myself, so
Wait, what is it?
chicken wing.
Chicken wing
belly.
Chicken wing belly Eric. Yeah, there it was. When he's listening to this on his drive home tomorrow, he'll be laughing out loud.
Oh.
Nothing but love, Eric. Nothing but love.
He's gonna be upset. Well, hopefully he's not watching.
155. 2 folds.
It looks like this is likely gonna raise and take it.
3 folds. 5 folds. 6 folds. Quarter too much.
Yeah, that's why they fold it.
So how's the progress going with you and Brandon on the weight loss free roll? And you
Well,
also
it's
have
not
many,
easy.
many weight loss bets, huh?
Yeah, it's not been easy, that's for sure. We've been on the road now for 3 weeks straight. This is the end of that stretch, thank goodness. But it's hard to do, live reporting days, 12 hours plus, and try to find something healthy to eat and try to get exercise in. And I don't think I've done it too much harm, but I certainly haven't made much progress yet.
Mo doesn't want to hear your excuses. He
Yeah.
he does the 12-hour days and finds healthy options.
Yeah, Mo has a metabolism though, like I don't know, he can eat anything and not put on a pound.
1 raises. 130.
I could do a weight gain bet maybe. I put on about 5 pounds every 12 months.
I think MSPT Brandon's been rubbing it in our face a little bit because he's down like 18 pounds, so he keeps
Yeah,
mentioning
that's-
that his pants don't fit.
Yeah, he's doing well, and that was just from laying off the beer, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
He likes himself some IPAs, so you cut that out, and it's amazing how it starts to shed off.
He was at Players on Tuesday, and yeah, I didn't see him drinking any beer. He was.
I tried hard to buy him several.
Yeah, was that Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
He wasn't interested.
yeah, he can actually say no. It's weird.
130.
So what do you do here in Talib's spot? You have pocket sevens, you're in the big blind.
Rosas hasn't been very active at all, and he's under the gun +2. I probably would just defend, see a flop, and then make a decision from there.
That's what he's gonna do.
And that's going to make the decision easy for him on the Ace-King-10 flop.
1 bets. 225. 7 folds.
The 225 bet sizing was bigger than I'd like to see. You don't let hands that when you have Ace-Queen on this board, you dominate a ton of hands. Jack-10, Queen-10, King-Queen, King-Jack. You have them blocked up really well, and a smaller bet sizing they have to continue against. The 225, you might even make those hands fold sometimes.
So Ricky Rosas out of Chicago, Illinois, the trucker out of Chicago, Illinois, and this will be his largest career score. He does have a previous 11,000 score that he earned on the HPT. This is his second MSPT cash, and he hadn't had many opportunities to play yet at this final table, but
No, yeah, I think
scoops a pot there.
that might only be the second pot he V-pipped, voluntarily entered.
Yep.
10 folds. 1 folds. Raise. 150. 2 raises.
Flynn 3Xing the ace rag, the offsuit ace rag again.
I told you he likes to play when he
Yeah,
has chips.
last time he got ace jack to fold. Now he's got queen jack suited behind him. He's probably going to get that to fold also.
Three calls, 5 folds.
Okay, he called. He had ace jack suited on the button also.
Yeah, and I think Westell has seen Flynn play
Yeah,
enough
he wants to
throughout
get
the
involved in
afternoon
pots against him. 'cause
in
he's-
position. Yeah.
Because he's not afraid to get the money in there. Westell feels like if he hits something, he probably will make some money in this hand.
Now, if you're Elfelt here, you got to make this call right on the button.
Yeah, I think calling is fine. 3-betting isn't the worst either.
I was gonna say
I wouldn't fold, but
two things. Yeah, I would not fold there.
ace jack suited the hand. The thing about 3-betting with a hand like that with these stack sizes, it's like such a good hand. You don't want to not allow yourself to see a flop and have to fold.
Yeah, so I was gonna say two things. One, Elfelt there on the button because of the two players, and I've watched them play a fair amount throughout the afternoon. Because it's Flynn opening and Westell calling, it wouldn't have. I would have considered in that spot running a squeeze play. The only
Yeah.
concern would be just because I know Flynn is very
Flynn will
capable.
probably call with a lot of his hands.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is because I know Flynn can open very light, which he did.
I like Flynn must be ranging Westell on a range that hits that board, which I like that, and he decides just to not even c-bet and check fold. That was a good decision, because that queen 10-7 flop, it's going to connect with a lot of what Westell called to raise with. The only hands you're going to get to fold that might have called pre-flop are pairs smaller than 7s. So
Yeah, exactly. So you can see there, Cowell still up top. Taleb still the short stack, but certainly not danger zone for now. And I think Elfelt would have missed all of that. He wouldn't have missed all
had
of
a
that.
gut shot,
He would have hit a gut
an
shot.
over and a backdoor flush draw,
Yep.
which is a hand. If he had called pre, he probably might have to take one more off,
Down 3 flop.
but I don't know if he would have.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I mean, I had good cards, but
that's enough.
I still didn't have a pair. Now it's
60 to go now.
Paul keeps getting ace jack. This is the third time. And the third time he's probably going to fold because Rosas is probably opening king queen suited under the gun.
One raises, 130.
You are correct.
2 folds.
The other folds he made with ace jack were reverse later position opens, but they were to a larger sizing. So maybe to the smaller sizing, just over a min raise, he might call, but I would expect to see him fold again here.
I'm sure Rosas is just pumped to get through Flynn. If you've seen him play throughout the day, that's not easy to have Flynn on your direct left.
Yeah. So either the sizing made him a lot more comfortable with seeing the flop, or he's just fed up with folding ace jack.
Looks like Talib
Yeah,
wants
'cause
to do
it's-
something here with his.
He wants to
wow.
see a flop, which
It is interesting that he did make the call here with ace jack, but he had suited ace jack with two players in on the last hand.
Yeah, it
on
was
the
to
button.
150K rather than 300 or 130K. So it's just a,
But he had two people in.
yeah. I don't know. Good flop for the ace jack.
Yeah, might have to play this more often.
The 7-8 suited call by Talib here was, he had 12 big blinds to start the hand. You can't be going to the flop with speculative hands with that stack size. And now look, he flops middle pair and he's gonna have a really tough decision. Like we called pre-flop, now you flop middle pair, backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. Probably should go with it, but I don't know what he's gonna do. Well, I guess because Rosas c-bet, it's gonna save Talib.
Yep.
If Rosas had checked, and then Paul bet, Talib would have had a really tough decision. Once his bet and call in front of him, it's a lot easier to get away. I like the C-bet by Rosas.
When there's the 7-8.
No, the 7-8
The turn.
came home, yeah. I like the C-bet, though, because he had a lot of turn cards where he's going to pick up good equity. 9, 10, king, queen, or club. All gives him something to look for.
Think everything, I guess.
There's a look at the chip counts.
Yeah, okay.
Big blind, 60.
Ryan Molesky, Josh Reichert, Chad Holloway here at Potawatomi Casino, wrapping up the 2017 Wisconsin State Poker Championship. This is our second main event here at Potto this year. Of course, we had 2 regionals that were fantastic as well, and I think, I don't have it in front of me, Chad, but I believe, aren't we back here at Potawatomi Casino in April for the for another 1K?
Let me have a look.
Let's see, Bay's gonna open the button here, and it's gonna probably save Max. If Bay had folded, Max might have just shoved like 14 big blinds effective. Now if Bay opens, wow, he just shoved king 6 suited 14 bigs effective. I think that Rosas has to make the call here.
I agree.
If Bay had a premium hand, he probably would be inducing here rather than just open shoving, so you're probably at worst up against a small pair, which you're flipping against, and there's tons of hands that you dominate.
Yeah, it's never fun to call off your stack in this spot, but I believe it to certainly be the right decision. And he's going to do that, so he's a 2-to-1 fave. Let's see if he can get the ace-jack to hold.
Always a sweat.
I take back what I just, yeah.
Two
never
clubs
easy.
maybe? They're talking about a sweat.
There it is, yeah.
Ace high, 2 clubs. Most of the clubs
Yeah, I
are
was gonna
folded,
say,
it looks like.
That flop actually increased Rose's win percentage. And,
Yeah, there's supposed to be 9 clubs left, but 5 of them were folded. There's only 4 remaining.
and he does not, Bay that is, does not hit one of the 4 clubs, so Rosas is going to get a big double, and he looks relieved.
I think that was a little ambitious to shove. I think he could have got away with raise folding. I don't think there's hands that he has a ton of equity against that are going to be shoving over the top of him. So, I mean, I guess he's going to be folding some 40, 60s when he raise folds, but nothing better than that.
So to answer your question, Brian, we will be back here at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino in April. The weekend of April 6th through the 8th will be the main event. And then, of course, some great satellite action leading up to that.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you don't get any
It'd be a little tough to.
So we've had a few double ups here. Still 8 to go. Somebody at this table is going to walk away with a little over 139,000. And even more importantly, the title of state poker champion. So let's see what we got here, though. We've got, let's see, Illinois. I've got, looks like Illinois invaded this final table. So I've got 3, 2.
Yeah, a lot of the Chicago area players come up here. It's like an hour from the northern side of Chicago.
Yeah. So at this final table, we've got 2 players looking to keep the state title in Wisconsin, which will be Paul Flynn and Paul Elfelt. We've got 1 player from Minnesota, which is Taleb, and we've got 1 player out of Oregon, which is our 10-seat, Max Young, which means we've got 4 players out of Illinois.
And Paul's got ace-jack again. We should just always put Elfelt on ace-jack.
A lot of spades out.
Last time he called with it, he flopped top pair and won a decent pot, so. Now he lets it go.
Interesting.
I don't know what is,
He
then
may,
the differences between these hands. This is 150 at 60, so 2.5x.
well, I guess, the only difference is the player. He may just specifically be targeting a player or two, is my guess, because he's
That was,
basically, he's essentially been in the same spot almost every time with that
Yeah,
ace jack.
it was
but-
Rosas opening under the gun,
Which
and then
is the one that he called, right?
that's the only one he called. He folded to Flynn's open. He folded to a couple other opens
Yeah,
too.
the Flynn Open was the bizarre one because
where
he had
he
a
got
call,
called by Westill, yeah.
and he was on the button with a suited ace jack.
Five folds.
Got the S at the end. Over.
6 folds, 7 folds.
That was like the first time that Kowal just opened his suited connectors and actually got through. Every other time he ran into a decent hand behind him.
So Bay is going to raise to 130 with the suited 9-7.
Yeah, we probably. There's so many people.
Looks like it's going to get through.
Names are big and nobody knows who the hell they are. You guys know who Jim Brown is, buddy? Walter Payton.
So still 30 minutes till our next break, round 28. This is actually going to be hand 36 of this final table. We've lost 2 players so far. In 10th place was David Hart. And in 9th place was Adam Dembowski. One out of Madison, the other out of Milwaukee. So 2 of the original 4 Wisconsin players at this final table have been eliminated. Just the Pauls still stand.
Six folds.
Just big beyond Shuby, what's going on with you?
7 folds. 8 folds. 10 folds. 1 folds. Two folds.
There's a lot of different ways this one could play out. I would probably limp if I was Westell, but he can raise. And then if he limped, Kowal could check, or he could raise. And versus a raise, he could, I don't know, he could call, he could 3-bet, he could fold. He could do anything versus the raise.
Yeah, so Westell out of Woodridge, Illinois, the general manager, Senior Care, also has a 33K live score to his name. Circuit Chicago. Not too far from here.
I think we're going to see a flop here.
Westell is engaged to be married in May, so I assume his fiance is watching. Congratulations. Guessing 139K could... See, the problem is if you hit this score before the wedding, that wedding gets really expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to hit this after the wedding.
Replenish the funds that
Yeah,
you just
replenish
lost.
the funds. But good luck to Westell here.
So
And congratulations.
Kind of a tough spot here for Westall. You're really hard to put your opponent on an ace when he just limps behind you in the big blind, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, but I think that you'll see a lot more of that now than what you used to. People playing just ace high a lot slower blind versus blind than in the past. People would go nuts with it. It's always nice when you have ace deuce and you just flop top pair, because there's not a lot of good flops for ace deuce. Westell is going for the double barrel here, maybe? I don't know. It looked like he was counting chips. But he has to think that maybe Kowal floated the flop with some sort of king high type hand for a double barrel to work here. All his other hands that call are probably a 4 or an ace. I like the decision to give
That's a
up.
very tough board to put somebody on a specific hand.
Five checks.
Well, that's a bad card for Westell because he might think now that he has the best hand with Kowal checking the turn behind him.
I think he might check fold this hand. Even improving on the river. Think he's going to realize. Okay, no,
Oh.
he shoved as a bluffer for value. I'm unsure. I don't know.
Well, if Kowal can sniff out a call, the jack plays here, so he's not really concerned about his 2 kicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to call. There's just not a lot of hands that...
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is
ace-jack, pocket eights,
a random
a
4.
random 4, which it could be there, or ace-king, ace-queen. Could be pocket jacks, too.
Yeah, I think Kowal's going to find a call here.
Yeah, I think he is, too. It's an interesting bet by Westell. I don't know. It has to be trying to get a better hand to fold, I guess.
I really like your line. I would have checked, and then depending if Kowal does bet, I guess it depends on what he bets onto. I may check call if it's light enough.
Yeah, once you check the river here with your jack, and then Kowal bets, you have to know that on the turn he had some showdown value when he checked back. His bluffs that he floated with, they're going to bet the turn when you check to him. So he had to have a hand with some showdown value on the turn. So I think you can fold a jack when you check here. Don't expect somebody to be bluffing for their entire stack here either, though, if you're in Kowal's spot. But then it's like, I don't know if Westell's bluffing or not for sure, but Kowal just probably doesn't think he is. Could be trying to push him off a chop with another ace.
Right?
And then he could just have, he could just have some random hands that have no pair also that he's just had to try to win the pot.
And if you're Westell, right now you must be praying inside for a fold, right? You gotta
He's gotta-
likely
he's
realize
gotta
your
realize
opponent
he's
has
got
the
an
ace.
now.
Right. There's no other hand that he could be tanking this long with.
And the way that it's played out, Kowal can't necessarily take him off a hand like ace-8, ace-jack.
Yeah, he could have those hands. I mean, he could have all the value hands, but Kowal might be thinking too that it looks like he has an ace the way it played. So is he gonna really do this? Thinking because it looks like Kowal had an ace the way the hand played out. So if Kowal's thinking Westell thinks he has an ace, then he's thinking he must have an ace beat.
So right now, you see those hand movements. He's trying to figure out what he would have left should he call and lose.
And he does it. He finds the call.
He does get the call. Wow.
Jack 10 against ace deuce on a 4.
And that's gonna do it for Westell.
Yeah, so a little bit of what turns out to be a misstep, but he almost got Kowal to make the fold there in the 5 seat. But unfortunately, we're going to lose.
He flipped his hand over, I only saw the jack, and I was like...
Westell in 8th place for $16,283. So congrats to him for that nice score, and congrats to Adam and his fiancee on the upcoming wedding. Down to 7, gentlemen. Nice little pay jump of 4K too. These guys are all guaranteed over 20,000 now. 354.
Talib, no doubt happy about it. He's been grinding the short stack here for a while.
Yeah, that was an interesting hand. They're talking about it at the table too. That
Somebody's missing 10.
it was interesting the way it played out.
Okay, I gotta get your 10 then.
That stopped the bleeding for Kowal. He had been losing some hands, but now he wins a big one, and this is the most chips he's had at any point.
You full in there? I hadn't seen him do anything.
Well, we might see some more fireworks in this hand.
Wow.
Ace-king suited versus ace-queen suited.
Yeah, Max is gonna double Taleb up.
I'll show you Venus.
Yeah, this is a big spot here for Taleb. The,
All the
current
queens.
short stack, right?
All in. I'm all in. 10 is all in.
Yeah.
8 fold. Sorry, that was quick.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Young.
It's the same way I doubled up Big Al at the Meskwaki final table. And when they're shoving that stack, they're not supposed to have ace-queen dominated.
Right?
Well, let's see what comes. Young's not out of it yet.
Still got the backdoor spade draw. Needs a lot of work, though.
Picked up 3 chop outs.
Yep.
Case ace or 2 5s.
And that's it then.
A 5.
One out for
five.
the chop.
There, oh my gosh.
The one out for the
And
chop,
yeah,
right?
there was 1 5 folded. Yeah, that was the case 5.
Wow, case 5 for the chop.
Oh.
A double stolen out of Talib's hand there.
This must be how Max is doing it lately. Clean living.
Yeah, look at Taleb. He's like, oh my goodness. The case 5 on the river for the chop.
I saw it was on day 1B on Saturday. Michael Hanson, a well-known poker player in the Madison poker community, he got it in, and him and an opponent, Dan Bekovic, actually, who we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
It was
out of Chicago.
Yeah, set over set flop. Hanson had a set of 7s, Bekovic a set of 5s. The chips went in, and they actually went in on the turn. And yeah, the one-outer, the pure one-outer on the river.
The 5?
The 5 came to give Bekovic
For quads.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, here we go again.
Feels like
Talib, he's still the short stack. He's got pocket 6s, but Bay, pocket aces under the gun.
Right behind him. Oh.
So he's going to open it, and then
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bays to act
Yeah.
first. Okay.
and then Flynn with a suited queen jack. We know he likes
Yeah,
those
he's
sort
gonna
of hands.
call, and then
You love that.
Taleb could just call here. I don't know what he's gonna do. He's getting a good price, but it's gonna be hard to play post flop 3 ways.
5 fold.
And Flynn does call. And with that stack, and it's a little bit of a squeeze jam here with
He
the
had the
6s.
7s earlier, and he just defended in a similar spot, but he had slightly more chips.
And this is going to be really unfortunate because if Talib had doubled the stack, it would be easier to get away from this.
Yeah, or just see a flop.
Right. But because of that stack size, he's going to
Oh,
shove it in. And
Flynn might come along now too. Bay called when he shoved, and now Flynn might want to gamble for another 485K.
he's definitely capable of doing that.
Such a pretty hand. 40% of the royal flush. He can beat aces with that. The book says I should make the call. Which book? It's always weird when people say that. The
Yeah.
book.
There's a lot of books.
What'd you have, Paul? Queen jack of clubs, and the book will tell you if I make this one, right?
I don't know what book he's reading. Probably by Tom McAvoy.
Queen jack of clubs, yeah, now I may be regretting it a little bit, but still got a lot of work to do to make it work. Now I'm not regretting
Now I'm regretting it a little bit, he says as he flops a gut shot.
Well, Taleb is going to need to hit that river that just,
6 or a 7.
oh,
It's
he
not
doesn't
there.
get it. So former champ, MSPT
I learned a lot
Player of the Year contender, Ahmed Taleb, is going to exit here in 7th place after some unfortunate incidents where he got the case 5 on the river to chop the pot with Max Young, and very next hand, he's going to exit in 7th, but he will take home $20,354. Congratulations, Ahmed.
Yeah, he actually gets 1,000 Player of the Year points, which, along with the 1,500 he already has, gives him 2,500, and will put him in a tie with Keith Block at 2,500 points on the Kimosabe Mezcal MSBT Season 8 Player of the Year leaderboard. So there's still one more stop in Canterbury next month. If Ahmed Talib is there, he will have a shot at that title.
Well, you know what, though? It'll be interesting because I heard earlier, so Ahmed is a student out of Moorhead, Minnesota, up in that direction, northern Minnesota. And so obviously he scored big at Grand Falls, took home $54K, and he's actually graduating from school in December. And I believe the weekend that we're scheduled to be at Canterbury, he had a bunch of family coming into town for that graduation. And so now he's got a tough spot because he really wants to play and try to get that Player of the Year title. But so I don't know if we'll see him there in Minneapolis or not in December, but either way, congrats to him, and whether he makes it or not, he's had a tremendous year.
Max shoved 17 bigs-ish under the gun there. I don't have a 17 big blind open shoving range from any spot ever. But I guess it's probably just because the structures of the tournaments I'm used to playing make 17 big blinds a lot more valuable. But he got through. He did not run into a hand. It's just a nightmare when you do, though.
So it's you know, Chad, it's been kind of interesting. What's fun about the MSPT is this tour is really designed for players with daytime jobs, right? More the rec style players, and obviously when we draw 700 of those players, the pros tend to find their way to those fields. But what's been cool, I think the last couple final tables, Chad, I don't recall having a specific, what you would classify a poker pro at either one of those final tables. So each of the last couple events, we've got guys walking away with 100,000+, you know, that just have standard daytime jobs. So it's kind of fun to go through. Like at this final table, we've got a trucker, we've got a retired gentleman. Kowal classifies himself as a poker player. We've got a business owner in Paul Elfelt. Richard Bay is a poker player. I'm not sure what Max Young does.
Yeah, Max
He's a
poker
poker player,
player,
yeah.
yeah.
So we've had a student, a general manager, a table games dealer, and another retired gentleman in David Hart. So we've got a few professional poker players here at this table, but also mixed in with a number of players who play recreationally, and that's what makes this tour a lot of fun.
Young got back-to-back shoves through there to increase his stack.
A shame.
How much money has Big Daddy made from folding those kings? Probably
It's
thousands, 10K at least now?
Well, because he would have gone out, was he?
Maybe
going
ninth
out-
or eighth it was going to
Maybe
be?
even 10th, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I'm not sure, but
You're right, it was, either way, it's substantial.
yeah, he's
Probably 8 to 10K at least. Well, we're up to 6th place, right? So everybody guaranteed 26,000. It's been at least 14K, I think.
yeah,
And still in the hunt for a lot more.
he's gonna be happy with himself for making that fold when he's depositing the check at the bank.
Well, in 13 minutes on the next break, he'll probably talk to somebody and find out, and he's going to be feeling pretty good about it.
These guys are getting him in there. Shove 1.4 million under the gun, ace 10-0. 22.5 bigs. Eventually, when you do that, you're going to run into a hand. We've seen Paul do it, Max did it, and now, well, both Pauls, Paul Flynn and Paul Elfelt.
Yeah, you can see we're playing pretty deep here because Young and Flynn are the shortest stacks at 22 and 25 big blinds.
Usually you wouldn't see those stacks just going in the middle with one raise, but
That's true.
they're getting in there.
Well, they've been playing fast and furious all afternoon. 9:45 p.m. local time, which is Central Time Zone, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. these guys keep up at this pace, we can still get to bar time with plenty of time to spare, Chad. We don't got to get out. Are you heading home
I'm
tonight?
driving home tonight.
Oh, well, I guess Eric and I will be at the bar then.
Is it 1:30? 10 is all.
Yeah, when I'm this close to home, I like to get to my dogs and get in my own bed, you know?
Yeah, I'm also heading
Careful
home
how you
tonight.
phrase that.
Yeah.
That was a perfect sound bite right there. We should have just cut that out and played it back.
I'm sure we could still work that out.
I like to get in bed with my own dogs or something. I'm not sure how he phrased that, but. Kowal still up top. Hand number 43 of this final table, MSPT 113 at Potawatomi Casino.
Stick around.
I think it's going to take a cooler to have any of these guys bust anytime soon.
What? What's Elfeld got? Ace Jack. Nope. This is not going to be the cooler because,
6 folds, 8 folds.
well, Kowal's in the big blind, so we'll see if anybody decides to try to steal before it gets there. Maybe Young
Yeah, I think Max
is the
will
most
open
likely.
here.
10 folds.
All right, saved him money.
It's like we might get
Flynn's
that
gonna
walk.
limp, right?
Flynn's never folding
What's
here.
the bet? Yeah, he's gonna limp.
3, raise the 2.
Oh, he's-
No,
He
he's
said
raising
never
Yeah,
it.
I'm
raise,
telling you,
okay.
man, this Flynn likes to play.
Now, what do you do if you're Cole here? Like,
Ooh,
you
yeah.
got position, you got a great hand. I go for a trap here.
Call.
5 is all.
Yeah, just call.
I just call and go for
He
trap.
went
him,
all
but-
in.
Yeah, I don't.
He's giving Flynn more credit for having a hand than what he should be, I guess.
Absolutely. He's hoping to try to cooler him, but
3 folds.
easy fold for Flynn. Yeah, Chad, I agree. I think it would have been fun. Obviously, when you have kings, the last thing you want is for that ace to hit. But I think you have to try to extract some more chips out of Flynn than that. But either way, he's going to maintain his chip lead. He's got a pretty substantial lead now, up to 4.5 million, 2.8 million ahead of his next competitor, which is Richard Bay. Six players remaining. Ricky Rosas out of Chicago, Illinois. Paul Flynn out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. David Kowal out of Lake in the Woods, Illinois. Paul Elfelt out of Brookfield, Wisconsin. Richard Bay out of Schaumburg, Illinois. And Maxwell Young out of Portland, Oregon.
It's another 20 big blind shove. Flynn, ace-9 on the button.
And is over.
Yeah, shoving a little light makes it a little more action-packed for the fans,
Yeah,
for the
I mean-
viewers.
And he had a legitimate button hand, I guess. Likely not to run into anything behind him.
And I get lucky.
I was on the clock.
Was that the clock?
How about your Wisconsin Badger squad? They're making a
doing
run,
it.
huh?
They're
Are they going to
doing
beat
it,
Ohio? They still got another game yet before
Yeah, we
they...
get to play your Gophers, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
At Minnesota next week. That should be fun.
Oh, if you don't beat them by 50, you guys suck. Gophers are terrible.
10 folds.
Yeah, they're.
We're not rowing the boat, we're towing the boat right now.
That's. I mean, it would be.
3 folds.
They just got smoked by Northwestern, like
Yeah.
37-0.
Northwestern's got a solid team, but yeah, 37-0. That's.
Losing record for the first time in a few years.
5 raised to 150.
Yeah, Wisconsin should sit all their starters, keep them healthy for the Big Ten title game against Ohio State.
It would be so devastating to be 11-0, get through Iowa, get through Michigan, and then lose to Minnesota. I hope that doesn't end up happening.
That hasn't happened in many years, has it? When was the last time Wisconsin lost to Minnesota?
Honestly, I don't know. Not in my recent memory.
The Paul Bunyan Axe or something, isn't it? The
Yeah.
trophy between the two teams?
Yeah.
That's okay, because my Vikings squad is going to win the Super Bowl at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis.
That's 130.
We're coming.
You should have been taking that into effect when I offered you the bet that if you got to play the Super Bowl, it would be a home game.
It's a home game.
Yeah. This is some interesting poker here. Bay floats King Jack 9 with a 7-3. He's playing some very non-standard poker.
That's 360.
Bay's a player, as we've mentioned. This is his fourth final table. He already has a 4th place, a 9th place, and a 6th place.
See, is he gonna check raise the turn here after, or is he just gonna give up on his plan? Here comes the check raise. This is the plan all along. It's gonna get a snap fold.
Crowd loving it. Love the heart.
That's some high-quality poker right there,
Yep.
boys.
He made it look easy.
Takes a lot of heart to be going for the float check raise on that board.
Yeah. I mean, he's repping the nuts only, really, against, against Kowal there. I mean, definitely took a lot of heart.
So just under 5 minutes left in this level before we have our first break of the final table. 6 players still remain, all guaranteed $26,460, and of course, $139,000 up top. Brian Molesky, Josh Reichert, Chad Holloway in the booth, wrapping up another amazing record-breaking event here at Potawatomi Casino.
Wonder if Bay had a live read that he went with there, that hand.
Three raised to 120. 5 folds.
I hope Flynn gets more chips because it's fun to watch.
10 folds.
He likes to play.
He's got the best beard at the final table, easily.
Come on, little mama. Give us on, little mama.
Lowell Mama, that must be code name for Big Daddy.
Bad, buddy. You are the best no limit player for your age.
For your age.
Thanks, buddy.
Uh-oh. Qual's aces, Max's nines. I think Max is gonna shove over Qual's open. He's
I think you're right. I think Young's in big trouble here.
Raised to 150.
it's unlucky to run into that, but
10-20, right?
we'll see. He's still got 5 cards.
Been some big hands here at this final table.
Is that already
Kings
on?
a number of
their
times.
kings and aces have been there.
8 folds. 10 is all in.
Yeah. Max Young,
My money's going to the bank.
who I'm sure won't complain about this cooler considering how dominant he's been this year.
5 calls.
We've got 9-9 versus ace.
So Max sees the bad news.
How is it? How are you that good?
A little frustrated. He's going to need a 9 to stay alive.
Jack, deuce, 5.
That's not the flop that he's looking for.
He is running spades, backdoor spade draw here.
That's not it.
He's down to 2 9s left in the deck.
Both 9s are live. We've seen 1-outers here at this final table.
Oh my God.
And he doesn't get it. So just like that, we're gonna lose Max Young out of Portland, Oregon. We've mentioned, I mean, he's gonna take home just shy of $25,000 for this score. Chad, you said he's already got $147,000 and $120,000 cash somewhat recently.
Yeah, he's been on fire in 2017, and I'm confident this isn't going to be the last we see of him on the MSPT.
So sad to see him go, but we're going to lose Max Young in 6th place. And, man, it doesn't matter how deep these guys are. We get it in, and
Doesn't matter to me.
5 to go.
And we got a break coming up here in 2 minutes.
It'll just be a 10-minute break, so don't go far. Kowal now up to 90 bigs, 2.1 lead over Richard Bay, who's been extremely active. Pulled off the nice bluff just a couple hands ago. It's been some great poker here at this final table,
Gutter ball to a 10.
I swear.
and some big hands. So Elfelt with something other than ace-jack.
5 folds.
Bay's happy to talk about his bluff because he knows they're all going to see it soon anyways if they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Toot his own horn a little bit.
Well, and you mentioned it, that brings in another dynamic, and we see this all the time on these final tables. All these players will go talk to their family, friends, fans at home to learn a little bit about the first 2 hours of play, and sometimes they adjust their play when they come back from that break.
If Flynn doesn't run up a stack here, these other 4 guys could play a marathon of four-handed play as passive as they've been playing other than Bay.
I agree with you.
And even Bay's gonna not get all of his chips in bad, so I don't think he'll be easy to bust either.
Elfelt's going to fold the ace-10 5-handed. And it looks like we're going to jump on break. So Brian Molesky, Josh Riker, Chad Holloway, we're just going to take a quick 10-minute break here at Potawatomi Casino. We're going to come back and award somebody $139,000 for first, and of course the trophy for the Wisconsin State Poker Championship. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're playing, guys.
All right, let's go. Put his blinds on.
I'm going, right?
Yes, we're going. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. They got the clock.
I mean, yeah, what are we supposed to do? I'm turning off myself.
10? Thank you. I forgot.
Brian Molesky, Josh Riker, Chad Holloway. We are down to 5 here at Potawatomi Casino.
Same as normal. Last game. That's card done.
Pretty exciting first half of the final table. And
Is-
just like
is-
that, we come
I
back and
wonder
Flynn gets
if-
aces.
Did Flynn make it back to the table?
But I don't know if Flynn made it back to his seat.
Let's go. It sounds mean, but.
Misdeal. Oh, wow.
I mean, the clock goes if they're not back.
No, but it was a misdeal because the button never moved.
Oh.
So later Flynn's
So,
aces.
so Flynn
But no, it
did
was the
have
small
it.
blind.
Easy.
Flynn wasn't back anyways. So,
You want me to put
but
it
he was sitting in the small blind seat. I don't know. Weird. But if he did have aces, he would have missed them anyways. So it shows you to get back to the tournament on time from break, all you
Well,
smokers.
But Flynn will play ace-9. Yeah, exactly, right? That'll teach you to quit smoking.
Did you get my ante?
I believe I did.
Does it section or you want to just double check? Okay.
But Flynn will likely play ace-9 like they're aces. I've seen that.
Now they just killed Kowal's hand when he was in the big blind. He was standing right behind his chair, and he lost the king queen there.
Man, running a tight ship down there.
You say 170? Yeah.
He was late getting back though too. He would have missed it by a mile if it weren't for the misdeal.
What time is it?
Flynn's all in every time right here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Given his style,
You got something to write with?
these are power hands for him.
He was open jamming 20-plus bigs earlier.
the agony. This is by far the most out of line Rosas has gotten. He just said
Wow. Some of them hopefully are watching this. Right?
he gave him credit because he said you've been pretty tight.
Well, I told you, sometimes these players go on break, they get a little information from back home, and they come out and play a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's hard to hear because they're all talking and we're talking, but yeah.
How many different girls?
Flynn said something to him about being,
Tight.
being pretty snug throughout the final table.
Well, this will be an interesting dynamic because, and I do see this a lot at these final tables where players can oftentimes, and this has definitely not been a tight final table overall. Elfelt probably a little bit on the tighter side. I do think he's going to have to open up his game a little bit five-handed if he's going to continue to chip up without getting hit by the deck, of course.
Elfelt's writing on your rail. It says Paul was here on the rail now.
Great.
Is there volume on? Taking yours?
You're in big trouble with the FBI up there. They monitor this.
I saw Paul Flynn on break, and he said, "Man, I'm extremely tired, but I'm having fun."
Nice, nice.
That's after.
Broadcast.
Everyone's saying you're the favorite.
What's going on?
I said Richard, but they meant me. That's running pretty hot, isn't he?
This guy's right. He's also bullshitting his ass off. He's mixing it up nicely, so you can't, throw your beat on him just exactly right. Making a piss hours ago. Is that me?
Okay, so we got three huge hands here, jacks, queens, and aces. We're going to see a big pot go down. I think it's going to be a three-way all-in.
Yeah,
Ace
Flynn isn't getting rid of pocket jacks here.
No, he's going to shove. Oh, nope, he made it 200.
He's not going to get away from this regardless.
740.
Base, 740.
Now, this will be
That's a
interesting
huge,
to see
huge
what
bet
Elfelt
sizing.
does.
All in.
Oh, yeah.
He just, I saw, he was just gonna immediately go in when he saw those queens. Just too powerful of a hand.
He went in
Against-
so quick,
Yeah,
too.
against those opponents, what the way Flynn's been playing, and Cole is just the chip leader. I get it in with queens there too every
Well,
time.
and well, generally, this is a hand that you'll never see Flynn fold, but
The way
The way
Paul
it
went
happened,
on, he
yeah,
went
he
in so
got-
quick. Elfelt did.
he got three bet by. Oh,
What the hell I call?
he says.
There's
And
a
here,
three-way
yeah,
all-in.
Josh, you predicted it.
You've got the jack, the ace, king, and the queen.
Ball went to him.
So if the,
And
if
Kowal's
the,
the chip leader. If he hits an
if the
ace or a
ace-king
king,
wins,
we're
yeah,
going to
we'll
lose
be-
two players.
be three-handed with Kowal having a huge chip lead.
There's nothing there for him.
Good flop for Elfelt.
Yeah.
7-4, chop it up.
Oh,
There's
Oh,
the ace.
That's
the
a huge
chin card.
card. If he can fade a queen or a jack, Kowal is going to have a massive stack.
Nice hand.
Wow.
And he
What-
just eliminated two players. So that means Elfelt, so Flynn is going to go out in fifth place, Elfelt in fourth place. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Elfelt
so
had
he-
more chips at the start of the hand.
He gets a little over 11K more than Flynn for having more chips. Both going home with great
Go get
paydays.
paid.
35K for fifth and 46.8K for fourth.
Yeah, so Paul Flynn will exit, as you just said, in fifth place for $35,280.
No, I was small.
And Paul Elfelt will be eliminated in fourth place for $46,814. But kudos to him for laying down those kings earlier on a queen high flop, because that made him, what, another roughly 30 plus thousand?
thousand, yeah.
That's unbelievable. And so now, Colwell with 8.8 million. We've got a ton of chips in play here to be three-handed. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But your final three here are Ricky Rosas out of Chicago, Illinois, David Cowell, your chip leader out of Lake in the Woods, Illinois, and Richard Bay out of Schaumburg, Illinois. 3 Illinois players in your final 3 to go, chasing the Wisconsin State Poker Championship.
Did the final table only start with? Oh no, it had quite a few Illinois players. It was majority Illinois, right?
Majority Illinois, but we had Oregon, Minnesota, and 3 from Wisconsin.
Okay. Illinois has survived well throughout the eliminations. Yeah, Paul not only made 30+ thousand from those fold with kings, but I mean he was also in a spot where if he faded an ace, king, or a jack, he would have become the chip leader of the tournament.
Well, look at this. It likely won't. And it's our 2 lower stacks who both have ace queen here.
There, yeah, Bay made it a full 3x. I think Rosas is going to go all in. Bay's going to call, and
And how about if you're Bay and Rosas here, you just moved up almost 40,000 on that last hand. So
okay, Rosas just flats.
Oh, I'm sorry, 35,000 to 63. So 28,000 they just gained on that last hand.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
Everybody's happy with it.
When they both nail this flop with their ace,
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of money going in this spot.
and they're going to chop it up.
$180. Call. Check. Juice of clubs.
Yeah, just wait a second. It's, it must have read your,
Fourth card.
must have read your fourth card. So what was the flop bet? 180?
Yep.
180?
Okay, so the flop was wrong, 7-6 deuce. Now they're correcting it. Now another 6 on the turn. They both have ace high.
Oh, so it must have read, the dealer must have put the burn card out over the flop reader? Potentially? Either way, it's going to work out the same, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were going to chop regardless. Just would have been a little more dramatic had there been the ace on the board.
That'd have been an interesting call.
Yeah, Rich really has to think he wins when he says, Rich says ace high and Rosa says me too. Rich has got ace queen. Rosa's never has ace king there, so only hand he can chop with is that one. Otherwise, he wins the pot.
That's a lot of big blinds in play for 3-handed play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to go any, it's going to take some coolers to get us out of here quickly, but
Like 9 million?
this has been fun so far.
So Bay by making it past 4-handed play is improving upon his best finish in his 4th MSPT Potawatomi final table appearance. See if the 4th time is the charm for him.
Koal getting the walk with the 7 deuce off.
All right, so Ricky Rosas, as we've mentioned, his 2nd MSPT cash. David Cowell, his 1st MSPT cash. And Richard Bay, he's been here before, 5th cash, 4th final table, but this is his best finish because his previous finishes were 4th, 9th, and 6th.
Where does the disco Chad come from? Where does that?
The origin of Disco Chad. Back when I was in high school, me and my friends were really into wrestling, like WCW, WWF, WWE now.
This is a great story already.
And my favorite wrestler was one by the name of Disco Inferno.
Okay.
And he had like a 70s theme, came out dancing to disco music, and I was a big fan. And so then online poker, or first email, email came around.
Yeah.
And I signed up for my first email as Disco_Chad, and then did that for my online poker name as well. So I almost did it as my Twitter handle when I first got on Twitter years and years ago. But I said, no, I'm going to be using this for, business purposes. Let's be a little more professional. So. And kind of full circle on that, one summer in Vegas, we went to Sapphire, the strip club, and Disco Inferno is a bouncer. That's his full-time job now.
Did you know that at the time?
I didn't know. No, I didn't know he'd be there.
Oh.
And so I fanboyed it and got a picture with him. And then
I thought you were going to say you fanboyed it, so instead of getting lap dances from the strippers, you got one from Disco.
I was
Inferno.
definitely more
Chad spent
excited.
the whole time over hanging out with the bouncer rather than enjoying the scene.
But a couple years later, he was at the Rio during the World Series of Poker playing one of the daily deep stacks as well. So I got a little interview with him, and that was just a really cool experience for me.
Did you tell him how big of a fan you were?
Yeah, I mean, I said growing up,
Did you say
I
they
was,
call me Disco
Yeah,
Chad?
I stole your nickname.
You didn't tell him?
and it's actually kind of refreshing to see. He's got a good thing going on in Vegas between work, full time as a bouncer, but he also does local wrestling stuff. But then in this day and age, where so many wrestlers from that era are, passing away from drug use and all that, it's kind of refreshing to see him parlay it into a longevity, I guess. Parlay it into longevity.
Yeah, glad to hear he's doing well.
I'd love to have him come play in MSPT sometime. So
Maybe the Venetian for the Poker Bowl.
it's true. He might if he knows about it.
Yeah, February 1st through the 3rd, question mark? The first weekend in February, we are at the Venetian for the Poker Bowl. That is the week after our Jack Cleveland casino stop.
And it's the Poker Bowl because it coincides with the Super Bowl,
yeah.
Football, and the tournament's structured so it will end on Saturday,
Yeah.
so that everyone is guaranteed to have off on Sunday to watch the game or do whatever they want. So.
In Las Vegas, where better to watch the game than in Las Vegas? And as Chad said, 2 flights, Thursday, Friday, day 2 Saturday. We're done late Saturday night, and Super Bowl Sunday.
Are you going to be there in Vegas for that?
Yes.
What if the Vikings make the Super Bowl? Are you still going to be there in Vegas for that?
I probably wouldn't want to pay what the cost would be to go watch the Vikings in U.S. Bank Stadium. I would rather just watch it on TV anyway.
You were going to pay that just for Howard making the final table.
Okay. You just put me in a box.
Bay just folded the ace-6 suited last hand in the small blind. First Kowal's button open. I think his strategy is to try to get heads up with Kowal, and then he probably feels like he can outplay him. I think they've played together quite a bit in the past. They're both local Chicago guys. I think they both play the cash games around there.
Kowal up to $8.9 million, looking to become the first player. Of course, nobody's even come close, but to eclipse $9 million of the $14 million in play. What a huge hand, ace-king over queens and jacks. And he's got a lot of chips sitting in front of him right now. Wow.
Race, voter.
You look at Rosa's stack relative to Kowal's there. Rosas has some work to do. I mean, realistically, the amounts aren't as bad as the stacks on the table look.
We've seen Bay fold the ace-6 suited from the small blind versus button open 2 hands ago, and now Kowal defends the small blind with the same hand.
Heads up. Okay. Check.
Turn the nut flush draw here. Interesting to see. Ace high has some showdown value here, but probably not as much as you think. So I like betting 2 streets with it here, and you might get a better ace high to fold by the river, even if you don't get there. Or you can get value from king high, I guess. I think he's going to fire another barrel to try to fold out better ace highs. Some 1-pair hands, ace deuce. I don't think he thinks that ace-6 is good here.
400.
And you are correct. He fires 400.
Rosas is strongly considering calling, he
He
snap
does?
called king
Wow.
high because, I mean, all the draws missed. And, value bluff.
And that's gonna put Rosas in the
That's-
big-time danger
I mean,
zone here.
It was a good read by Rosas
Yeah, he
that
had
he
the
was
right
bluffing
read,
and
just, he had the one hand that missed the draw.
And he had a
kinda beat
hand.
him.
He had a hand that didn't block almost any of the draws. He had a jack, but I mean that only blocks a couple of the gut shots. He didn't block any of the flush draws. I mean it's not the worst hand to hero call with right there.
Unfortunately for Rosas, it still didn't work out. And
He can probably narrow Kowal's value range there too. If he's calling there, he probably doesn't expect his value range to be very wide, which I think he would be correct. I don't blame him for the call. I would have liked to see him think about it just a little more. I mean, I'm all for playing poker quickly, but if he thought about it, maybe tried to get a read.
yeah, when I'm watching poker, I don't complain when people act quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm for quick decisions in general. It's much better for poker.
Kowal cruising along here, up to nearly 10 million. Rosas, a lot of work to be done, but he's still in it. All three of these players are guaranteed over 63,000. The next pay jump for second place is just shy of 85,000, so about a 22,000 pay jump to move up one spot. And then first place, of course, is over 139,000.
Yeah, the play at this final table has been, I mean, of all the commentaries I've done, this has been by far the most well-played final table. Nobody's made any huge mistakes at all, or just made any wild decisions either. You always seem to have at least one wild card. I mean, Flynn was a bit of a wild card, but not like, he wasn't like limping every hand and calling raises, you know, just weird stuff.
And there were a couple awkward plays, but they never really turned into anything. Couple overshoves probably.
Yeah.
But were never called, so.
And they weren't like completely unreasonable.
Right.
Like in 2005, people were doing that all the time.
That's how I played.
Yeah, I mean, that's how everybody played back then. You had 20 big blinds, you're just all in.
180. Race 180.
There's our split cam. We get a good look there at Kowal and Bay. Sorry.
Bay happy to play a pot in position here. We've seen from him earlier at the table that his cards don't always matter.
And we got Kowal riffling chips on top of our microphone.
Check. Check. Yeah, check. Check, check.
Checked it down. Bay wins with a pair of sixes. I think these guys are both going to be content to trying to bust Rosas. Avoid playing any huge pots with each other.
Yeah, this is a time where Kowal could probably be pretty aggressive with Bay.
Yeah, I don't even think he's going to do it because he knows that Bay knows what he's doing if he does it. So
Yeah, that's true.
I would expect them to just wait it out, both of them.
And Bay certainly hasn't
And-
played at all like he's trying to ladder. He's been here to win since the start.
And another thing is he can't. They're so deep. He can't apply as much pressure because it's going to be really hard for him to have his whole stack at risk.
Well, and this might be it here because Rosas is definitely going to play the king jack.
Call in.
Yep.
And the call.
He correctly jams. Kowal's going to call, and Rosas is going to need a king jack to double. Otherwise, he's going to be our third place finisher. Okay, that's a big flop for Rosas. So now Kowal needs an 8. There are still 2 live 8s in the deck. He doesn't get one.
A black card with 7 spots on it. He needs a black card with 8 spots. That'd probably look like an 8 coming out.
440.
So Rosa stays alive, a little bit of a dent into Kowal's stack, but not much.
If I try hero calling with the king check, I said I might as well just go down with it.
Ricky Rosas out of Chicago, Illinois. David Kowal out of Lake in the Woods, Illinois. And Richard Bay out of Schaumburg, Illinois are your three final players for the Wisconsin State Poker Championship. You two gentlemen are out of Wisconsin. What happened here? What went wrong? I mean, if this were Ryder Cup, they'd fire the coach or any type of soccer league, right? No Wisconsin players in the final three for the title.
You know, it's,
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This is flat out embarrassing for Wisconsin.
Kowal's got 8s again. No, I let the team down today. Chad couldn't participate.
We can still blame him anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. We had a few guys here at the final table. They
Didn't work out.
just unfortunate for them. There's so many Chicago guys that come up here to play, too. It doesn't surprise me to see a strong Illinois contingent at the final table. There's some really strong players in the Chicago area also.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee is just minutes out of Illinois.
Yeah, the poker community in Chicago is
Huge.
it's huge, and it's also a lot more experience than the poker community in Wisconsin.
That's true.
They've had tournaments for a long time. They've got a huge cash room. It's been there forever. Potawatomi's fairly new, and the tournaments coming into the area is also fairly new, so
All right, raised to 180.
it makes sense that there would be better quality players out of Illinois.
By the way, I assume that Baltimore was at Green Bay today.
it's
They
Because
were.
on the last break, I saw a huge herd of Baltimore Raven fans with all their gear, their hats, all that stuff, rolling jackets, rolling through the casino. By the way, this casino is packed. It's amazing how busy this casino is. But Green Bay is what, Chad, about hour and a half north of
yeah,
here?
about 90 minutes or so.
Okay, so a lot of fans went to the game, and then they came down to Potawatomi Casino after to continue their fun day.
Yeah, it's surprising that they're here. They must have had their flights in and out of Milwaukee, I guess, because Oneida's
would
right
make
there in
sense,
Green
yeah.
Bay, you know?
180. Raised to 180. 5. 5 raised to 180. 8 calls.
Yeah, probably flying out of Milwaukee. This is the best place to fly in and out of, and obviously a great casino and an awesome hotel. So this is where I'd stay if I was in the area.
Eight checks. 5 checks.
So Bay elects to check on a queen high flop. Not this time, though. He's going to bet out, and I think he'll get Kowal to fold.
That's 200.
This is one of those spots where he could apply pressure that we were talking
Yeah.
about, but it's just...
He just took a little bit of a hit. I mean, sometimes, too, when you accumulate this much of a chip lead three-handed, there's a little bit of pressure on yourself as the chip leader. Like, you don't want to blow this lead, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when the next pay jump is 21,000.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously thinking about winning, but they're both got to be thinking about Rosa's 10 big blind stack and hoping to get him out of there.
Brian Molesky, 8-time circuit ring winner Josh Reichert, and WSOP bracelet winner Chad Holloway in the booth here at Potawatomi Casino in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
5 checks. That's up. Check. Check.
This right here is a lot of what we're going to see once it gets to heads-up action. If these two get heads up, I think there's going to be some button limping and a lot of small ball being played. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me to see Bay go for value here with a strong 6.
150. Fold.
He can get called by 5 deuce or worse 6s. Because it looks like the ace is a good river card for him to bluff, and if Kowal thinks he would use that as a bluff card, he might hero him off with some worse hands than queen 6.
Those look like huge numbers compared to last week.
Yeah.
I think of it, the highest we saw last week was 21%.
Yeah, I agree. It was between like 21, one person at 18. And we talked about at the time, like just, those are substantially low aggression frequencies that we were at.
The
that we
two
saw in
things,
Colorado.
they go hand in hand though. Like when you have a shorter stack, you don't have the flexibility to play as many hands,
Yep.
but not playing as many hands probably made the stacks more shallow. So
Plus, they all smoke weed on break, so it makes them a little more chill.
they're just there to hang out and enjoy life.
You would think so, but they sure complain a lot out that way.
Yeah. Bay picked up kings in the small blind here. I think he's gonna limp.
Raise to 180.
Okay, he goes for a small raise.
Rosas gonna defend.
2 calls.
Be danger if he hits any part of this here.
Little does Rosas know he's hoping not to flop a pair.
And he does. This is
Flop
gonna go
top
in.
pair.
Yep.
This reminds me of the hand with Farm Boy in Meskwaki. He had king, or the old guy had kings. What was his name? I can't remember. Farm Boy had,
Victor Hoffman.
yeah, Farm Boy had Jack 7. Jack high flop. Turn was 6 of clubs. It gave Farm Boy all the outs.
And you can't blame Rosas for getting it in there. He flops top pair after defending his big.
Yeah, I mean, the money's just going to go in here if he calls spree.
He's got 5 outs though.
So Bay did the right thing by not shoving pre and allowing Rosas to stick around.
Still 5 outs. One more pull at it.
And
Not there. 4 spades on the board, but neither player has a spade. So the trip kings of Bay going to get us to heads up play.
We got to heads up play pretty quickly, but I feel like we could be in for a marathon.
yeah, we have 2 very strong players here in Richard Bay and David Cowell. But first of all, congrats to Ricky Rosas. Phenomenal run. He's going to exit in 3rd place for $63,098, the trucker out of Chicago, Illinois. And hopefully we'll see him again soon. But as of now, we are now heads up. Your current chip leader, David Cowell, has a little over $9 million out of Lake in the Hills, Illinois. And he's going to battle Richard Bay, who is clearly been a fantastic player here at this final table. His highest MSPT finish, but it is his 4th MSPT final table. And he's got a little over 4.8 million. So these guys are deep too, right? So this
Super
could be
deep.
a pretty busy final table. And as you see there, Eric's bringing out the cash and the bottle of Kimosabi Mezcal. Generally, that's the trophy in there, but, you know. There's the trophy. And it's an our standard MSPT trophy that's been extremely popular. And on that trophy, it says Wisconsin State Poker Champion. Somebody's going to have a nice piece for their mantle.
180. Raise to 180. Call.
I wonder if Bay's going to limp or raise his buttons. We'll get to see real quick. He'll probably start doing it right away and stick with it.
Check, check. Check, check, check.
Yeah, both players kind of feeling things out a little bit early. 9.4 to 4.6. And for Bay, that was nice that he was able to eliminate Rosas to pick up that extra million,
Yeah.
which is certainly going to be helpful here in this heads-up battle versus Kowal.
Yeah, it gets him as a 2-to-1 dog rather than if Kowal had picked it up, he would have been bigger than a 3-to-1 dog.
Eight raised to 180.
Some beautiful hands here, heads up. That's why aggression can pay off.
2 calls, or 3 calls. The other guy.
Which of these two players is going to be the 2017 Wisconsin State Poker Champion? They've played at a phenomenal pace all afternoon. Chad, what's our record for heads-up battle? A little over 2 hours?
It's kind of ironic. It was over 4 hours. It was 4 hours.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And it was in the last Wisconsin State Poker Championship between Andy Rubenberg and Ku Vang.
Yeah.
It was a torturous one, if I might say so.
We could be in for that here.
I was going to say, these guys are deep enough that, as you can see, what are they, 80 big average right now?
Yeah,
Wow. You don't see
Even
that
more.
very often.
even more, slightly more, 175 between them, so 87 and a half.
It might take an aces versus kings. That is possible. This is hand number 70 of this final table, and we've gone from 10 down to 2.
We've seen them both times, both the hands where they open buttons, they both check back flops with no showdown value. Bay won with a delayed C-bet, and Kowal was probably going to do the same thing, but ended up hitting a pair on the turn and then had showdown value to check it down.
So Josh, and I don't know if you keep track or even remember, but I mean, you've closed out so many tournaments. I mean, you've got an MSPT title, 8 rings. First of all, to get in that position that many times is unbelievable. But do you know off the top of your head how many second place finishes you've had?
Actually,
Because that's whatever it is, that's a pretty substantial closing percentage.
when I just won the 8th one in Southern Indiana, Eric, the reporter for the WSOP circuit, he looked up all the stuff and told it to me when he was interviewing me, and I have 2 seconds. One of them that stopped before in Southern Indiana, and I got really unlucky heads up, and then the other one was in a horse event,
Okay.
which I don't even know what I'm doing at horse really, and the kid I was playing, JJ, was like really strong player, so I have a lot of confidence in my heads up no limit game.
So at no limit heads up, it sounds like maybe you're, what, did you say 9-1 or 9-0? Are
8-1, and then
Okay.
if you count the MSPT, 9-1,
Yeah.
I guess.
If we count that,
But
come on.
yeah, of course it counts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my problem is third place finishes. So I've got 9 third place finishes
Oh.
in WSOP related events,
Okay.
which Eric told me that. Then I was looking at some random player stats page, and it had third place finishes on there, and I was in second place behind only like men win or something like that. Oh wow, aces and jacks. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Bay is going to double. I think it's going to go 4-bet, 5-bet.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah, these are 2 huge monster hands for heads-up play.
Yeah.
The
Especially
chip
this
stacks are
deep.
going to swing.
So we played 4 hours of the Ku Vang Andy Rubenberg match and never had a hand like this.
You're right,
I
that's
think,
true.
I think Kowal is going to 4-bet. I mean, there's some merit for just flatting, keep some of Bay's bluffs in, but I think he's going to 4-bet and give Bay some room to spaz out or get in a worse hand like 10s or 9s or ace-king, ace-queen, whatever.
He said something, but I couldn't hear it.
1.3.
And this is music to Bay's ears right now. He's like, oh, thank you.
Now
And,
here's where the flat could happen by Bay. But I think he's just going to get it in. Yeah.
yeah, and Kowal can't fold here. He's going to be extremely bummed out to get Jack's heads up and to be behind.
So if a jack comes, this could be all over.
That's true.
Otherwise, we're going to see a flip in the chip counts.
And that's not it there.
They both have a club. They've been sharing both the same suit, so
Both
no
jacks
four
are
flushes.
live. And so Kowal hoping for a jack on the river to get the title. It doesn't come, and unfortunately for him, that's a huge double up for Bay. Pretty much reverses everything, right?
Giant pendulum swing here.
And that's kind of what Bay was hoping for, right? When we were three-handed, he wanted to make sure he got to heads-up play to put himself in a position to win, and here he is.
This is probably going to be slightly demoralizing for Kowal to take that big of a hit this early on and heads up.
Well, yeah, and you're going to go with jacks any day of the week, heads up here, especially with the 2-1 chip lead. And
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would have got that hand in, just how it played out.
Shout out to Cash229, who's joined us on the Twitch stream.
what's up, Cash? Do we know who Cash is?
I don't offhand. Got to give me some identifying
Isn't it
marks.
that
I was
Katie
gonna say-
Gebhardt?
Is
That
it
is-
Katie?
Isn't her Twitter like Min Cash, something like that, spelled that way?
It
Might
could
be.
be.
I do think, though, that I don't know if it would be. I'd prefer that people have to use their real names in the chat. Sometimes we get some brave people in the chat talking
Yeah,
trash, because they can hide behind a screen name. But
It'd be interesting to see how Cole rebounds from that. Like Josh said, it's got to be demoralizing to take that big of a hit and to go from being the chip leader at this final table for a long, long time to all of a sudden now you're playing down 2-1 in chips.
yeah, because Kowal was the chip leader when we arrived at this final table and had never relinquished that lead, had he?
I
That
don't
can
believe
think
so,
of?
right.
I mean, he was close there for a little bit, but he's been playing extremely well, and
Yeah, that's her Twitter. I would guess that's probably her.
Call. Check. $150. And call. Checks. Check.
went to Twitter and congratulate both of these players. David Kowal on Twitter is at Stomped, STOMMPED. And Richard Bay, Chad, maybe you can read this up. I can't really read his writing.
Richard Bay is at Richard Bay, and Bay is spelled B-A-I, and then 88 at the end. So at Richard Bay, 88.
Cool. Yeah, so make sure you get out there and congratulate both these guys. Whatever happens here, either one of these gentlemen deserves to win this event. You know, Kowal has, looks like he's played some six-max and had some nice scores in WSOP Circuit six-max events, so he's certainly comfortable playing shorthanded.
Here's the 240. Oh.
Why 240? It's just gonna be harder to put the chips in. Seriously, you gotta grab the purple and stuff, forget all that. 250 next time? 250, 220, yeah, 250 fine. I like 225. 225?
What's your bet? No, 225.
Check, 150. And hold.
Just gonna play fast.
Check. Fold.
Back to some beauties. Jack 2, 6, 4.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead, Josh.
that's what you would mostly expect in heads-up play. The jacks against aces isn't going to happen very often.
We should just strip the deck down, take the 2s through 6s out, and this thing would be over quick.
Just use like a pinnacle or a euchre deck.
We've done that before in our home game.
Oh, yeah?
Play a little bit and not realize that it's 2 euchre decks combined together.
Okay, 10's and ace-king suited. Look at this, right when we're talking about it.
Okay, well, and Bay's got the ace king.
225.
The money's going to go in again.
Wow. Just, it takes hands like these when you're this deep for something big to happen, and for these guys to get these massive hands at the same time is unbelievable.
125, or what was the first open to? 125. 125 to 570?
It was a 2,
Oh, yeah, it's 80K big blind.
Yeah.
225
225.
to 570. Probably going to go about 1.4.
1.5.
And Kowal's just like, you gotta be kidding me.
He's got 4.3 million. I think he's going to shove.
Yeah, I think you gotta shove here.
There it goes.
He goes again. This time Kowal is ahead. And
All
I
right,
think
they're
there's-
in there.
I think there's one ace or king dead because it's a 54-46 here.
I couldn't
It
be
couldn't
dead.
be, yeah, they're heads
other
up. No
cards
card
out.
should be
Oh,
dead.
flush draw.
Oh, flush draw. Yeah, you're right. Duh.
And now Bay, mathematically the favorite here with the 2 overs and the flush draw.
That's
Straight
not
on the
it.
turn takes his 2 overs away.
Yep, now he needs a diamond on the river. 10 to chop. 10 of clubs to chop.
10 of
oh,
diamonds.
it's 10 of
Bay
diamonds.
wins.
That's
Oh,
it.
that's it.
It's over. Wow.
Wow.
We
tough.
were settling in for a long heads-up match, and just like that,
It
we have
just-
a new Wisconsin State poker champion.
Well, I got to be honest. That was an awesome final table, and I feel really bad for David Kowal because he played so great and took 2 really tough hands there, jacks into aces, 10s into ace king heads up, and just like that, David Kowal is going to be our runner-up finisher for $84,809. But huge shout out. Awesome tournament by Richard Bay as well. He played phenomenal at this final table. We saw him make some sensational moves, and he's going to walk away as the Wisconsin State Poker Champion, $139,086. Congrats to him. And MSPT, Eric is out there prepping, getting ready for me to come out and take some winner photos. But Brian Molesky, Josh Reichert, Chad Holloway, what a sensational finish. It says game over. It's like a Nintendo game there at the end. Thank you so much to Potawatomi Casino. The staff was awesome. A record-breaking event, 701 runners, and we're going to go clean up and hit the road. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And, of course, this is recorded. It will be available within 48 hours on msptpoker.com. And, of course, go check out our upcoming events. We got an event coming up in just a couple of weeks in Minnesota, msptpoker.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Thanks, guys.